I'd like to call to order the Planning and Development Committee meeting for Monday, August 10th, 2026. We'll first start with our invocation tonight, and we just ask that you step up to the mic, state your prayer, and then we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. To our public speakers for tonight, I just want to remind everyone that we do have 2 microphones located at the back of the horseshoe. We just ask that you step up to the mic, make your comments. Once your 3 minutes is up, you will hear an alarm sound go off. We just ask that you bring your comments to a close at that time. That being said, our first speaker tonight is John Tack Brantley.
Good evening, Mayor McNamara, our aldermen, and our citizens of Rockford, Illinois. I'm going to give a shout out, first of all, talking to Mayor McNamara. When Mayor McNamara ran for office, Maurice West was running against him. John McNamara came to me and asked me to back up his son. Back during the 80s, they said John McNamara and Charles Box said after they get you doing East State Street, they was going to come back and do West State Street, put business on West State Street. But instead of putting business on West State Street, they turned West State Street into a green zone. Now, I want to go back to the fact that we got 18,000 registered black voters here in Rockford. We only had 3,445 of our registered voters to vote. And then on top of that, too, Maurice still was kind of upset with me for voting for Tom McNamara. I put Tom McNamara because I thought he was going to finish what his father had started to do, but he did not accomplish that. My other thing I'm coming before you is that I'm tickled pink because when I found out that they wanted to put the data center on our holy ground on Camp Grant, we had over 4,000 Buffalo soldiers that got the Spanish flu. 1,000 of them passed away. I had a meeting with the UAW veteran board. They are 100% behind us putting a memorial out there at the circle, at the front gate at Kishwaukee, where the roundabout is. We got to find out if it's owned by the city or the state, where we can put a monument there. Park District is thank you, Park District, 100% behind. They taking the lead. They also going to use their escrow account. I talked with Tom McNamara. He mentioned to me that at the National Night Out, $15,000 to $30,000 for a monument. Really? That's chump change. We was promised 40 acres and a mule and $100. Where's our restitution at for the way they treated our Buffalo soldiers at Camp Grant? It's a no-brainer. It's also a place. It's a sanctuary. How will you dare want to build a data center on our sanctuary, on our holy ground? What if we take that data center and put it on Tom McNamara family members' graveyard? How would you like that and whatnot? That's not acceptable about putting a data center on Camp Grant on our holy ground. And with that being said, I'm ending my conversation.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Alyssa Waples.
resident, and more importantly, a mother, I'm urging you to cancel the Monarch project, the AI data center. According to a My State Line article written in May of 2026, ComEd was going to have another increase in energy costs to the residents of Northern Illinois by at least 12%, mostly because of a huge increase in energy demand from these AI data centers. In the article, AI data center frenzy is pushing up your electric bill. Here's why. It says forecasted demand has fueled the need for new infrastructure like power lines, substations, and power plants, the cost of which companies at least partly pass on to residential consumers, said Quigley of UPenn. In other words, households are partially subsidizing the AI data center expansion. Another 2026 article states, air, noise, and water pollution from data centers can come with health problems for humans, according to a study published in February. Long-term impacts may include increased risk of respiratory disease, cardiovascular disease, mental health struggles, stroke, diabetes, and adverse reproductive outcomes like miscarriage and stillbirth. The article continues, because these data centers operate 24/7, they generate persistent background noise, and chronic exposure to environmental noise has been associated with sleep disturbance, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, and even stress-related outcomes. Noise pollution can be especially harmful to children, as has been linked to poor cognition, decreased learning, and lower reading comprehension. In an article titled Analyzing Air Pollution Health Economic Risks from AI Data Centers, Dr. Michael Cork, who is a PhD from Harvard and analyzes these health risks, has said, what I think is getting less attention right now is not that this is just an energy or a climate issue, it's also a public health issue because of the dangers of fine particulate matter. Fine particulate matter is estimated to drive nearly 90% of health impacts from air pollution and is often not captured in traditional energy or climate assessments or incorporated into infrastructure planning decisions. Dr. Michael Cork analyzed the Vantage data center in the densely populated Virginia and found that these emissions from this facility would cost between $53 and $99 million a year in health damages. Further, since it's not been disclosed as to which AI data center we might have, I want to point out that these AI companies aren't exactly following their own company policies. For example, there's an article titled Meta Ran Ads That Contained AI-Generated Child Sexual Abuse Imagery. And that was on April 5th of last week. More than 50 offending image and video ads were published across Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, or Threads, according to Meta's ad library data. Some ran as recently as this week. Another article states these ads made no effort to mask the images or hide what they were promoting. TTP director Katie Paul told Wired. It's important to point out that this is not content posted by third parties on Facebook or Instagram. These are ads that were reviewed, approved, and allowed to run by Meta, never encountering interference while the company collected the ad dollars. We need to protect our community's health over AI and their company's wealth. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Chitin Thacker.
Good evening. So first of all, I wanted to thank the council members and city leadership and my fellow citizens over here as well. I do recognize that having a platform to be able to speak and to express our thoughts is a value in our democratic society, and that is not lost on us. And so we appreciate your time for hearing us out. I'm here today to talk about my industry, which is the hotel industry. I've been a Rockford resident for about 22 years now, and in those 22 years, I've had multiple businesses, a dozen different businesses, from restaurants to medical offices to quick service to financial services institutions as well. And hotels is something that is near and dear to me. Hospitality is something that is absolutely near and dear to me. We've currently have 6 different brands in 7 different states at this point in time. And what we're seeing today in the hospitality industry is a landscape that's completely changed than what it was about 10 years ago. So a decade ago, we used to just set our rates and kind of walk away. You sell all your rooms, you put a no vacancy sign up, and you're done for the night. Nowadays, every 5 minutes, there's AI, there's technology that's checking rates. It has become so much more complex to run any business nowadays than it was a decade ago. With that comes costs, and our costs have significantly gone up. And I'd like to share a few stats from the Oxford economic study that was done earlier in 2026. The costs over the last 5 years, over the last 6 years, have gone up as follows at a national level. So labor has gone up by 15%, admin and general has gone up by 18%, operations have gone up by 23%, utilities have gone up by 28%, insurance has gone up by a staggering 111%. With all these costs that continue to go up, and the top line revenue is not going up with it, the operators are forced in an impossible situation to make a decision on how to run their businesses without compromising quality and safety and security. And so some of those creative shortcuts might result into layoffs for some people. It might result into overworking our salaried managers. So the solution really, there is a limited amount that we can cut on expenses, but the true solution really is to be able to bring our top line up. How do we attract more business into the Rockford area, into our community? And one of the best tools, the best instrument that we've seen so far is what you guys will hear about later today, the TID, the Tourism Improvement District, is that assessment is something that is going to help our region to reinvigorate our region and to be able to...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gino Lafrate.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. I'm Gino Eifrate, president of Hard Rock Casino Rockford, and also the chair of Go Rockford. I am here to talk about the TID that Shinton talked about, and we're gonna hear more about shortly. About a year and a half ago, I knew nothing about TIDs, and I was at a convention in Orlando with John Grow. We were introduced to Tiffany, who we'll hear from tonight, and I was intrigued. Generally speaking, I'm not an advocate of new taxes or incremental taxes, and Tiffany has educated me that this is an assessment. It is not a tax. It is money generated by hoteliers for the specific purpose to benefit the hoteliers. They will have a committee that will direct the use of these funds. And as someone in the tourism business, tourism isn't free. It's a highly competitive landscape, and if we do nothing, our surrounding communities and our competitive communities that we're not only competing with for new business, but to maintain our existing book of business, whether that's events at the Park District, events like Ironman, those events are not free. And this tourism incentive or improvement district and the incremental funding generated by this will allow the hoteliers to remain competitive. It'll allow Go Rockford to have access to needed incremental marketing dollars. And I, as an advocate for the team at Go Rockford and as someone who represents the tourism industry here in Rockford, the Hard Rock fully supports the creation of a TID. And frankly, the only thing I'm disappointed in is we don't yet have a hotel, so I was unable to sign the petition. I wish I would have been able to sign it first, but hopefully we learn more about it tonight, and I hope that everybody agrees with me and realizes that this incremental funding is a necessary tool for Rockford to remain competitive in the regional and national tourism business. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next public speaker is Mary Ann Marlowe. That concludes tonight's public speakers. We're going to move into our Planning and Development Committee meeting, which we do have a presentation tonight, so I'll go ahead and invite those individuals up to be seated up front. And while they're doing that, clerk, will you please call the roll? Here. 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 Have a quorum. No.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is John Burrow. I'm the president and CEO of Rockford. Gino, who we've already heard from, is the chairman of our board of directors. So this portion of the conversation, the presentation, is an update on from Rockford for the first 6 months of the calendar year, and an update on how we're traveling through the year. I do want to take a moment to recognize the mayor and thank him for the support that he has shown in his time in office, both as alderman and as mayor, for the hospitality, travel, and tourism industry. And wish him well in all of his future endeavors. So it has been a busy 6 months with going through June, and continues on a really good clip here in the summer. We've seen some fantastic events that many of you have been in attendance at around the community, from the AHL All-Star Classic, which was held at the BMO Center over the winter. It's kind of hard to think that far back, to Ironman having happened in the middle of June, with fantastic supporting infrastructure from the city, from the county, and from many public and private partners, and over 1,500 volunteers. Is this not on?
You just have to speak directly into there.
Oh, it was not on. All right. Made an assumption. I won't go over all of that again, assuming some of you have at least heard it. So it has been, from marquee events to individual attendance at sites and attractions, a really strong 6 months. Restaurant Week, which I think we've talked about, the restaurant grant program that we were able to administer, helping stabilize restaurants throughout Rockford and Winnebago County, has been, I think, foundational work through these 6 months that we wrapped up. One of the work that we do, I think is helping to lift the perception, the reputation of our community. With the team that we have in-house, have secured some really fantastic news coverage for the community in The Economist, The Atlantic, Realtor.com, Midwest Living, the Today Show, Forbes, and others. And we will continue to do that work as we look to amplifying the positive news and all the reasons that individuals have to visit here and to live here. On that note, the Made for Rockford program, which City Council has been a strong supporter of, continues to grow. We've completely revamped our digital marketing program, the website. We do have an upcoming new resident mixer, which will be taking place later this week as part of the Rockyard Music Festival, which we're excited about. That will be the third new resident mixer. So I believe last week you all received an invitation at your place is to invite new residents that you may be aware of to attend that on 8/15 day. The last point I'll make before we open up for questions, because I think there may be some conversation, is about Rockyard Music Fest. I want to make sure that all aldermen, staff, as well as our residents know about this new festival that is happening at Davis Park this Friday and Saturday. Friday starting at 4 p.m. and Saturday starting at 7 a.m. and both days going until 10 p.m. We're calling it a sneak peek in Davis Park. The park is coming along, and we are excited to be able to utilize it in cooperation with the city to host a music festival. There'll be live music both days, activities that are family friendly, food and beverage, and I think as people come down, they'll get a glimpse of what this new park that you've all prioritized can do for our community. It is free, it is open to all, and we're looking forward to a great 2 days this Friday and Saturday at Davis Park with all of you. With that, I'm happy to answer questions. I know their packet had a lot of information in it.
Well, we'll open it up to the floor. Are there any questions? There don't seem to be any.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate the update.
Yep.
Thank you. Before we conclude, though, there are many, I want to personally thank John, or publicly thank John, and there are many members of Go Rockford staff present today. The hard work that this team puts in, day out, the results speak for themselves, but they really do. They are dedicated, and they really do put in a tremendous amount of work. So thank you, John. Thank you, staff.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, we're just going to stay here.
All right, we'll go ahead and move into our committee reports. Item 1, and I'm sorry, we're going to go a little out of order since we did just have the presentation from Go Rockford. We'll start with item 2 first. Item 1 is an approval for the proposed amendment to the funding agreement with the Rockford Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, Go Rockford, extending the term and the agreement from an expiration of 2028 to an extension of 2034, and the continued lease of 102 North Main Street. This is an extension of 6 years from the existing agreement and lease. Do I have a motion to approve? I'll go ahead and second the motion. Do we have any questions or comments? Alderwoman Meeks?
I was just curious, what was the reasoning for us updating this contract when it doesn't expire until 2028?
So I will go ahead and answer from the city staff perspective, recognizing a few items. One, I'll just restate a portion of the request that the chairwoman talked about. This is an extension of the funding agreement and a lease for a period of 6 years, going till 2034. It is also an increase in the share of the 5% hotel motel tax that is currently at 70% under the existing funding agreement to go up to 75% of the 5% hotel motel tax in general terms. And for the increase in funding, it includes taking on certain responsibilities related to the operations of Davis Park. Currently, the City of Rockford has an intergovernmental agreement with RAVE, Rockford Area Venues and Entertainment Association, which is a unit of local government established in part by the City of Rockford when the Metro, which was the Metro Center, was established. When we recently approved their intergovernmental agreement, there was an addendum related to Davis Park in regards to the activities that they would perform and the activities that they would not perform. And understanding the level of investment for Davis Park and some of the discussions that we had, not only with the community, but certainly here with City Council, making sure that the park was accessible to the entire community in a cost-effective way. We worked directly with RAVE representatives, staff member Gretchen and John, to evaluate how we could work in conjunction with one another, and ultimately came up with a draft memorandum of understanding, which is in the packet, which would identify the obligations of both parties related to Davis Park. When we look at the success that Go Rockford has had related to certain community events, whether that's Stroll on State, the Mural Fest, or the upcoming concert series to take place down at Davis Park, we thought they were a good partner as a not-for-profit in regards to filling the gap of the activities that RAVE does not currently do at the park. So that was one avenue. We wanted to make sure that we fully activated Davis Park in a cost-effective way for the community. Additionally, and later on, the Finance and Personnel Committee agenda item is a tourism improvement district. Without getting into too great detail of that resolution, it's only a resolution of intent, which really starts the statutory and public process related to the evaluation of a tourism improvement district, but that initial period is for 5 years. So we did want to show a good faith commitment to the hospitality and tourism industry, specifically the hotel operators, that we're all in with them. The creation of the Tourism Improvement District is intended to be an add-on not a substitute of existing funding opportunities. So it was a good faith commitment regarding that. So primarily, there's those two reasons is why we worked with John and his team in advancing the proposed amendments.
So can I get just an idea of what type of services you will be providing at Davis Park that is not being provided currently under Legends?
Sure. So, starting with what we understand Legends Global, the Rave team will do. Their role will essentially be to book larger ticketed concerts in the park. And I believe there's 6 to 8 dates a year that they are anticipating being able to do that. So that leaves 350 plus additional days per year where the park needs to be programmed, it needs to be managed, it needs to be activated. Not just on Stroll on State days, but throughout the year, weekly, monthly kinds of activations. Family-friendly programming, whether it's at the playground, working with the local community to activate the skate park as an example. We envision health and wellness activities in the park, fitness activities, as well as smaller events that may not have a fee associated with them, or they are low cost to attend. We want to maximize the use of the stage and the use of the park in as many ways as we can, consistent with the plans that were developed for the park. Private rentals have always been envisioned to be possible in the park, so that will need to be coordinated, as well as welcoming as many community events that will want to take place in the park as possible. Whether those are events that currently exist somewhere else and they for whatever reason need a new space, or they're being created and they want to have a home. Somebody will need to program, contract, work with different contractors in terms of setup, cleanup, tear down. All of those are the activities that we anticipate being part of.
Now, I can continue, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I did notice that some of the restrictions that Legends has related to like labor agreements and the use of, I don't know how to pronounce it, IATSE that's out there. So you wouldn't be required to honor those contracts?
So not all events need stagehand or stage labor. If we're programming family wellness activities or children's activities in the at the playground, we're not hiring stagehands or lighting designers or riggers.
But if it was a situation where you did need to utilize a stage and it was a concert, but maybe a free concert, a community concert, would you then have to follow those requirements?
We're not obligated to follow those. We do
Right.
have a voluntary agreement already in place with IATSE.
All right, perfect. And then I did have one more question. Who manages the park? Because I'm understanding that when it comes to snow removal and, some of the actual maintenance requirements that Davis Park will have to tend to, who manages that? Because I'm understanding that the Park District no longer is doing that. So who is doing that?
So, Alderwoman, you are correct that there is an existing IGA between the city and the Rockford Park District, and they have walked away from that intergovernmental agreement. As we move forward, and as was anticipated when we went into construction, that'll be a combination of RAVE and our Public Works team. Some of that work will be contracted out, some of it will be done in-house.
So, I thought that I read that RAVE was very explicit about them not doing the maintenance at Davis Park. Maybe I need to find that part. Is that accurate or not?
I mean, maintenance is a pretty broad term, so it depends in regards to the level of detail, and I can't remember explicit in regards to the addendum to the IGA with RAVE, but there was some conditions and concerns in regards to ongoing capital improvements that would be required, that wasn't going to fall under their budget, and that would be under the city of Rockford's budget. So in that regards, it'd be the city of Rockford, day to day, to your point on snow plowing, landscaping, mowing, those would be issues that would be taken care of by the city of Rockford staff. City council has authorized the purchase of some equipment that can be utilized at Davis Park, which is under the control of RAVE, and so that portion of the maintenance would fall under them.
Okay. So I'm just kind of wrapping my mind around this. I happen to be the one lone individual that voted no for Davis Park because I felt we weren't in a financial position to take on something new. I understand everyone else's position around this but I do also understand that we're also in different conversations related to the budget. So while I still kind of mull this over in my head, I would love to just make a request to lay this item over so that I can just kind of do a little bit more digging myself, understanding just kind of the dollar amount that this is going to equate to. I still don't really have my mind wrapped around how much at the end of the day this is going to cost us. And I do get it that it is a hotel motel tax, but I also understand that we have quite a bit of facilities that are experiencing debt service right now, and that funding could be used towards debt service. So I want to kind of wrap my mind around it. So I'd like to make a motion to lay this item over.
Do we have a second? I'll second the motion. I too have gotten some phone calls about it, and I'd like to have just additional conversation, but I support Go Rockford and everything. I appreciate all you've done.
Sure. May I make one comment, if I may?
Cool.
Thank you for the questions. We're happy to, have the conversations. Davis Park is, we believe, an important community asset. When the administration asked us if we would entertain taking on this responsibility, like we tend to do, we kind of came to it with, okay, so what if and how could we make this happen? Certainly, we believe that if you are investing in the park, it needs to be activated, and we need to provide as many activities for our residents and potential visitors as possible to move it forward and to make it successful. So, the team put together, our team that's here and the team that's actually probably working around the clock right now to get ready for this weekend's festival, put together a pro forma that, said, we'll commit to raising this if the city can do this. And that's kind of where we get to today. So we absolutely would be happy to answer your questions. This isn't something that we were seeking out, but as the administration looked to the future of having this public asset, we said we would be willing to step in and do our best to be a partner to make it work.
Yeah. Thank you. Alderman Frost.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Yeah, I just wanted to thank John and your entire team. I'm on the board, but that's not what I'm saying. Is in light of the circumstances that arose with Davis Park, I do commend you for stepping up and taking over the program, because as a city, it's just not something that really is in our wheelhouse, right? And it is more akin to your wheelhouse, frankly, even more so than me. So I appreciate you wearing the hat and working with both the city and RAVE to engage us. Like, we didn't spend all this money on this park just to sit there and not be utilized. So it has different functions for different people, and that's the way it is. And it's getting near completion, hopefully sooner than later. And once it is complete, we don't want to like a study where it's a city shiny toy. It has to be activated and used, otherwise it was a complete waste of money. So thank you for stepping up and jumping in, like you said, to something that you did not envision yourself or your team taking on. But I know and I'm confident you guys have the capacity if anyone does to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Is this in regards to the layover? Mm-hmm. Okay. Alderwoman Meeks.
I just want to say that, yes, it is not in our wheelhouse, but it was in the Park District's wheelhouse, and they did I don't want to say completely object, but I'm just going to say object to how we moved forward. And so I just want to ensure that we are connected with those partners, that this is in their wheelhouse. They do understand why it was a concern for them as to why they didn't move forward. And I think we need to consider those concerns as we move forward, which is why I think a layover to talk some of these things through isn't the worst thing in the world. So
Alderwoman, I should make sure that the record's clear that the Park District was part of the entire designing process, including the consultant that designed it and participated. It was not until we were bringing it forward for actually construction that they walked away from the intergovernmental agreement that they agreed to when the property was donated to the community.
is there more to add to that? Not at all.
Nope.
Okay.
I think if I could respectfully, the Park District's role in the park historically was maintenance, not operation, not activation.
Right.
If you go back to the late 80s and early 90s, what the city's asking Go Rockford to move forward on with activation, creating celebrations, festivals, events, that was not part of the intergovernmental agreement there. So we're not seeking to step into that space that the Park District had. The maintenance and the operation, as Todd has already talked to, will be with contractors, city staff, and somewhat with RAVE. We're being asked to step into the programming and the activation space.
Alderman Toonberg.
Thanks, Chairwoman. On behalf of representing RAVE, or at City Council, member of City Council on the RAVE board, and Alderman Beach as well, I know that the RAVE board is excited with the partnership bringing Go Rockford on and the experience they have with that. I also appreciate the distinct responsibilities that were also put forth to where the city of Rockford, RAVE, and Go Rockford will have going forward. Those distinct responsibilities, I think, are pretty clearly spelled out, so the time spent on that is appreciated. But I know RAVE is excited, the RAVE board is excited to bring Go Rockford on in future programming in the park. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we need to take a roll call on the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Item 2 is an approval for the proposed funding agreement with Living Well Center of Northern Illinois in the amount of $100,000 annually for a period of 3 years, not to exceed a total amount of $300,000 to support the establishment of a senior center located at 1111 South Alpine Road. The funding source is casino funds. Do I have a motion to approve? Okay. Are there any questions or Alderwoman Granith?
So could you just give me an overview of the new group that is the Living Well Center people? Who's
Sure.
doing it and what organization maybe they're attached to?
So this is thank you, Alderwoman. This is a newly created not-for-profit, and they do have representatives here tonight, should it be the desire of the committee to have Carlos speak on the not-for-profit's behalf. But as many of you are aware, the City of Rockford approved a funding agreement with the Northern Illinois area for aging. There's too many A's in that. Just go with NIA. Last year or earlier this year for a location off East State Street. They ultimately did not move forward with that. And as they evaluated whether they should be the proper organization to establish a senior center, they worked with this partner in the establishing of a new not-for-profit. They will be working with NIA, understanding that NIA is located at the same address, 1111 South Alpine Road. So they do believe that there's some opportunity for partnership, share services, but they will function as an independent not-for-profit. And the request is for $100,000 annually over a period of 3 years to be matched with an additional $110,000 from the newly formed not-for-profit.
Alderwoman Grannis.
So there's going to be the ability to have NIA work with this new this new nonprofit and be able to coordinate services, or is this like I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around a new nonprofit, but yet how are they going to work with established entities that already are serving our seniors?
So it may be better answered by Carlos, but what we have seen from senior centers is that they do bring in other not-for-profits or partners to provide services. They don't provide all those services directly. NIA, in large part, has been a funding agency for a number of organizations that provide services. But if it's at the, if the committee's willing, Carlos could answer that question.
Does the committee have an issue with Brother Carl answering the question?
Yeah.
We need to take a vote on that. Okay. If there's no objection from the committee, you can go ahead and step up to the mic.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos Aguero. I'm a physician by training, and instead of golfing, I decided that I was going to take on creating a senior center. So the specific question, right? How does kind of NIA and the senior center work with each other? They're two very different entities. NIA, I think, was the birthplace of the idea because they deal with taking federal and state funds and funding all kinds of different programs, social programs. Now, the senior center, it is not a place for people to go and find these things, right? Like, there's no competing. The senior center is a place for citizens of Rockford, seniors, to go find a place to really fight social isolation. So if somebody goes to the senior center because they want to learn new things, stay active, find people that have similar wants and interests, and then they have a question about how do I go about getting a discount on my license plate, we can then say, well, NIA can help you with that, right? Like, they offer those social services, but the senior center itself, it is not a place for get those things. But we are going to work together with NIA because they have they've been around for 50 years. They have really a lot of knowledge about the city and the resources and the social needs. But again, it's a completely separate entity, and the things that the senior center are going to do are very different than the stuff that NIA does.
You still have the floor, Alderwoman Meeks. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Alderwoman Grannis.
I'm done.
Sorry. Did you have your hand up?
I felt Alderman Hoffman had her hand up first, and I'm back.
Alderwoman Hoffman.
I was just going to move that we hold this over.
So we have a first, we have a second. Are there any questions or comments on the layover?
I just do have one question that doesn't pertain to the layover.
Well, the layover will provide you time to get that question answered until the next meeting. Clerk, will you please call the roll? Aye.
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 Those two items have been held out. Moving on to resolutions. Item 1 is an authorization for acceptance of the Green Infrastructure Grant Opportunities Program through the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency in the amount of $613,551 to implement the Beverly Park floodplain connection. The city would match $333,384 of local CIP funds. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Are there any questions or comments? All those in I'm sorry.
That's
Clerk,
okay.
will you please call the roll? Aye.
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 Thank you. The item passes. Item 2 is authorization for acceptance to utilize an allotment of Region 1 Planning Commission's Surface Transportation Block Grant. Funds received from the Federal Highway Administration in the amount of $4,349,410 for the federal fiscal year of 2028 to implement the Harrison Avenue Reconstruction Project. The city will match $4 million and will continue to seek STBG and other federal grants to make up this gap by fiscal year 2028. The funding source is the motor fuel tax. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please indicate by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. That item passes. Item 3 is an authorization for acceptance to utilize an allotment of Region 1 Planning Commission's Transportation and Alternative Program funds received from the Federal Highway Administration in the amount of $1,271,066 in the federal fiscal year 2028 to implement the High Crest Multi-Use Path Project. This grant is in addition to the $3 million grant received from the Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program for the same project. The city's match of $317,767 will come from motor fuel tax funds. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? Alderwoman Meeks.
Just a general question. What's the purpose of the motor fuel tax?
To make capital improvements to capital infrastructure transportation projects.
How do you prioritize what is chosen and selected under the motor fuel tax?
The motor fuel tax. So motor fuel tax is administered by IDOT. And so when we look at projects for these tax dollars, there's a lot of different requirements and regulations that go with motor fuel tax. So a great candidate for using motor fuel tax is when we are using federal funds that IDOT is already administering. And so one of the first things we look at is matching federal funds with motor fuel tax funds. Another good expenditure of motor fuel tax is preservation and other type of simple maintenance projects that, or other projects that IDOT would otherwise have authority to look at. So local sales tax funds that we use don't have any IDOT oversight, and so that's how we prioritize.
And in this position, how would I kind of get a leg up on understanding what the federal projects are that are out there to see how they align within, say, my ward or wards surrounding my area?
Sure. We have our interactive capital improvement program map that's on our website that would show different projects and the funding that they're using. Our capital improvements program breaks out a column within that program of other funding. And so if you have funds in that column for those, you have motor fuel tax, you have sales tax, and then other funding. If you see a number in that column, you look to the comment section to the right, and it'll tell you exactly what federal program or other type of program you're using. Otherwise, you can reach out to us personally, and we can get you a list.
Oh, okay, perfect. That's easier.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Are there any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please indicate by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The item passes. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please state by indicating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. This meeting is adjourned.
Here.
Ross. Here. Granite.
Here.
Beach.
Here.
Salgado.
Present.
Five present. Under information only, we have a change order for communication equipment with GenCom. There is a proposed change order in the amount of $347,174.18, which brings the final contract to $3,555,733.04. This change order includes additions that were necessary to deliver a fully functional and reliable public safety communication system that meets the operational requirements, provides long-term support for emergency response. The funding sources are ARPA funds, the 2022 budget surplus funds, and the fire department operating budget. Information on this. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to committee reports. Item number 1 is an approval of vouchers.
I hit that right there. Okay, thank you. Item number 1 is approval of vouchers in the amount of $12,305,598.22. Is there a motion to approve vouchers?
So, second.
Any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes. Moving on to resolutions, item 1, it is an award of bid for the Rockford Fire Department headquarters renovation to L&L Builders in the amount of $481,590. The contract duration is through February of 2027, and the funding source is the 2022 budget surplus funds. Is there a motion to approve?
So, second.
Any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes. Item 2 is an award of a non-competitive contract for legal research services to West Publishing in the annual amount of $29,609.16 with a 6% increase of fees annually. The contract duration is 3 years. The funding source is the legal department operating budget. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. Item 3 is award of engineering agreement for State West Parking Deck 2027 maintenance repairs to Walker Consultants in the amount of $37,510. The contract is through December 2026, and the funding source is the parking fund operating budget. Is there a motion to approve the award?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. Item 4 is an application approval and award acceptance for the Illinois DCO State Designated Cultural District Grant Award in the amount of $200,000. This grant does not require a cost match. It will be from May 1, 2026 to April 30, 2028. It would provide funds used to develop district identity and branding, support new and existing businesses, and promote visitor attraction. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments for staff? Alderman Toomberg.
Thanks, Chairman. Do we have any idea where these boundaries will be?
Yes, so it is from to the north. It's on South Main Street, from Winnebago down to Montgomery.
The whole boundary for the cultural area is that?
So the cultural district designation is a state of Illinois program, and in that you have to have an identified boundary. And for that, we've decided to do basically the birthplace of Rockford, and so that was the applied for area. Yes.
Okay, so it wouldn't include places like 7th Street or?
Not for this specific designation, no.
Okay. Do you foresee further designations as well?
The state of Illinois has only opened up the programming for 15 designations. We received ours in 2025, and that was the last round of designations. So there is not an opportunity under this program through the state for additional designations.
Okay, thanks.
I just had a question. So with respect to this, did you have to apply for it in advance with a specific plan?
Correct. So we actually applied for and received the designation. We received the designation in 2025. So what was before you right now is just the funding component. Each 15 designated cultural districts within the state have the opportunity to receive $200,000. So that is what step we are at right now.
Okay, but we've already it's been allocated to South Main from Winnebago to Montague.
Correct.
Okay.
Went from that application from it actually to be applied in 2024.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. Item 5 is an approval of a grant-funded subrecipient agreement with Winnebago County Probation Department in the not-to-exceed amount of $35,000. The period is from August 1, 2026 through December 31, 2026. The grant funds would be utilized to provide funding to appoint a probation officer to fulfill office hours at the Family Peace Center and will assist in strengthening the existing multidisciplinary team response program, expedite and streamline services for survivors, and allowed for continued collaborative efforts. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any questions or comments for staff? Alderman Beach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm always concerned about these grant-funded opportunities when we hire people under the grant and realizing that a year from now or so, those grants might not be here. And just a few weeks ago, we picked up, I believe, and added 3 more people to the payroll of Rockford because a grant did not come through, and we were asked to keep those employees on the payroll. How does someone that's qualified be willing to take a job that they know a year from now they might not have? I'm sure I just understand that.
Go ahead.
That is a good question, and it's something that we are aware of and thoughtful whenever we take on any type of grant-funded program and have to hire staff. It is very transparent in the hiring process that this program is grant-funded, and that if the funds are not renewed or we don't receive grant funds for the project in the future, that position would no longer exist. So that is transparent in our hiring process for any grant-funded program. This particular program does have 2 options for renewal, so we're looking at a potential for 3 years. I do also anticipate an extension for this. We're getting started on the project late, so the whole time period could essentially be 3-4+ years at this point for this particular program, which is a good period of time for an employment of a person.
Thank you.
All right, any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. Moving on to item 6, an approval of a grant awarded subrecipient agreement with the Winnebago County State's Attorney's Office in an amount not to exceed $175,000. The agreement period is from August 1, 2026 through December 31, 2026. If approved, the grant funds will be utilized to hire a full-time victim services provider and allow the Domestic Violence Assistant State's Attorney to oversee the needs of the grant program. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any questions for staff? I just have one. The period on there is really just the rest of this year, so it's $175,000 for, are there more than one state's attorney?
There's 2 positions for this. It's a state's attorney and I believe a part-time position as well.
Okay. And the funding for this, as Alderman Beach suggested, the funding for next year, starting January 1, 2027, has that been secured yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. Item 7 is approval of the resolution declaring intent to form the Rockford Regional Tourism Improvement District, fixing the time and place of a public hearing and advancement. Is there? We're going to have someone present on this.
Yeah, Chairman. Let me start by a brief summary and some introductions,
Absolutely.
if that's okay, Chairman.
Sure.
So this request comes before council as a whole as a result of a significant amount of participation with the hotel industry and 26 individual hotels representing just over 80% of the hotel operators in the city of Rockford, Cherry Valley, Loves Park, and South Beloit. And so this is a resolution of intent, and it does not establish a tourism improvement district, but does allow us to begin the process under the Illinois state statute, including scheduling the public hearing notice and triggering staff to send out the other required notices that are required underneath the statute. We do have a presentation here tonight and a couple of guests. We have Tiffany Gallagher from Civitas, who is the consultant that has participated with the hotel operators in Go Rockford in the establishment of a tourism improvement district, everything that goes into it, the required 5-year plan and so forth. Additionally, we have Michael Jacobson from the Illinois Hotel Association, who is an advocate and representation of hotel operators across the entire state of Illinois. So I will hand that off to Tiffany to go ahead and get started, and here's the presentation unless there's any objections.
Committee, City Council, thank you so much for hearing us. My name is Tiffany Gallagher. I'm Vice President of Civitas. We are a legal consulting firm based out of California. We are the only firm in the country that specializes in the establishments of special districts particular to the lodging and tourism industries. And so we are the subject matter experts as it relates to these mechanisms. So a special benefit assessment district that would be formed to benefit the lodging industry in your area. So I just want to briefly give you a very high-level overview on what it is. And so this would be potentially formed via the TPSD law in Illinois, passed in 2023, which allows for and sets up the procedures to establish a special benefit assessment districts for the lodging industry. And so underneath that, we have a requirement of putting together a proposal, a district plan. So the hotels have come together and put together a proposal for you to consider that would set up a district for a term of 5 years. So it's a short-lived district, which is particular to a set of programs that can only benefit the businesses that pay into it. So different than bed taxes or other taxes related to tourism. It is bound by law to that special benefit. I'm going to review for you all the particulars of the plan in just a moment. Industry-led, so we cannot move this district forward without signed petitions in support of that district plan, which was just reviewed, that we do have in excess of 80% of hotel contribution by assessment revenue signed in support of this district plan. This is industry-led and governed, and so by law, there's a separate committee that is set up underneath a governing entity, and so the governing entity in this case is required by law to be the Tourism Convention Bureau, which here is Go Rockford, to administer the plan on the behalf of the businesses in the district. So this is secure for the businesses, and so I think, as most of you know, new taxes and fees on businesses, hotels in particular, is generally not welcome, but because there are security guards in place with this law, the hotels have rallied around this mechanism as a supplemental vehicle to fund new business demand for their businesses. It looks optically a bit like bed taxes, and that is passed on to the consumer. So it's a special assessment, and if you have been involved in any assessments, most of the time those are parcel-based assessments. This is not. This is a business-based assessment. That assessment can be passed on to the consumer or the tourist via a line item on the guest room folio. It is collected by the city. The city then remits it back to the managing entity, which would be Go Rockford, for administration of the district plan on behalf of the hotels. This is not a new concept, although it is relatively new to Illinois. There are 226 districts across the country. We now have them in 26 states. We have one district that has recently formed in March of 2026. This year in Chicago, the first district formed. This would be, we think, the second. The city of Peoria also has already passed the resolution of intent and has set a public hearing for September 8th for their district. Blue states have active districts, and orange states are those states that have districts in formation or are passing enabling laws to be able to do them. Just highlighted here, we have some activity around the interest of setting up these districts around the state. So you can see we have one active district, and we have several areas that are interested in forming. The elements of the district plan at high level: district boundary. Right now, the district plan encompasses all hotels with 45 rooms or more. So this is a program that only will benefit businesses of 45 rooms or more in defined district boundary that includes Rockford, Loves Park, Cherry Valley, and South Beloit. This is a 5-year term. As mandated by law, cannot exceed 5 years on a first term. If it is successful and the businesses choose to renew, they can do so for up to 10 years, following the same procedures that they did to form this district via a district plan and petition process. The proposed annual budget, with all businesses as proposed, is approximately $1.38 million a year, dedicated to funding, sales, marketing, events, destination development. There's also a very small element of contingency reserve, so essentially a savings account for the district and administration. It is a 2% levy on the businesses in the district, which would be 45 rooms or more in the outlined municipalities. Governance, as required by law, is a committee of lodging businesses formed underneath Go Rockford in particular, and is collected by the city, and the city does retain a 1.5% administrative fee for their services in collection and enforcement. This is a compulsory levy for the term of the district, and it is compulsory because the benefit requirement requires benefit to all that pay in. There is annual audits and annual accounting and reporting that is required back to the city to justify that benefit and that program. And that concludes my presentation. I'd like to, if I could, just bring Michael up for his contribution.
Thank you, Tiffany. Sorry, I can't get close enough to the table with my injury, but I'll speak from here. So thank you for convening this hearing tonight and talking about the Tourism Improvement District. Again, I'm Michael Jacobson. I'm president and CEO of the Illinois Hotel and Lodging Association. I'm based just a few miles down 90 in the Huntley-Pingree Grove area. But I am here tonight on behalf of an overwhelming majority of our hotel owners in the Rockford area, and on behalf of IHLA to express our strong support of what you're hearing about tonight in the Tourism Improvement District. Gino mentioned this earlier. It's a weird position for us because historically we are always adamantly against any sort of tax increase that's either passed along to our hotel owners or passed along to the guests. But I think that's telling in the fact that how this is structured differently for several reasons. As Tiffany mentioned, this is a self-imposed assessment on hotel stays, which again legally differentiates it from a tax, and it's directed entirely by the hotel industry to support tourism sales, marketing, and business development through our friends at Go Rockford. So realistically, it's a lockbox fund that can't be diverted into other areas. It has to be used for tourism promotion. That's really what the essence of the hotel motel tax was when it was originally created decades ago. But as we've seen at the local and particularly the state level in recent decades, that usage has been eroded away and been diverted to other areas like general funds, infrastructure, and other areas. So as you've heard throughout the year, we've worked with hotel owners. I will tell you it was not easy to get hotel owners to support something like this, knowing our typical position on tax increases. But ultimately, we did have a majority, an overwhelming majority, 84.5% of the hotels in the covered region between the 4 jurisdictions, 26 of the 31 impacted hotels signed a petition to support this. So at the end of the day, it's simply allowing Rockford to level the playing field, particularly with the competition. Tiffany showed 226 cities and towns throughout the country already have this. Here, as you heard, Peoria is in a race with Rockford to get this passed and authorized before Rockford. We'll see who finishes first and gets this hopefully launched. Chicago's collections are going extremely well, and I think even our neighbors to the north, Wisconsin, is hopeful that their enabling legislation at the state level will pass next year, allowing cities like Beloit to also pursue a similar program. So realistically, it's about keeping up with the competition in terms of winning business and winning new visitors to the region. So most importantly, the budget and expenditures of this fund will be seen by this committee of hoteliers. So that committee will be directed by the board of directors of Go Rockford, so in close coordination with the overall board of directors of Go Rockford, and will have diverse representation in terms of the size of the hotels, the brands of the hotels in the geographic region between the 4 jurisdictions that are paying into the district. So what the hotel community likes the most about the TID is that it's required to issue regular detailed reports on the ROI of their investments, both to the state and to local municipalities. The original authorization lasts for only 5 years, but within that 5 years, if things go terribly wrong, which we're confident they wouldn't, there's also a safeguard built in that the hotel owners can issue another vote, and if 51% of those hotel owners decide that this is not going well, they can disband the district at a moment's notice. So at a minimum, we would have to come back to council in 5 years to reauthorize this district for another 10-year term. But if things are going haywire, we also have an additional safeguard built in as a panic button protection to kill the district at any moment. So realistically, the benefits obviously will go beyond hotel owners. They'll help support our restaurants when visitors eat in our restaurants, shop in our retail stores, pay the gas tax as they're driving through town, and obviously it will really help those that work in the industry and outside of the industry as we grow the economy here in the Rockford area at no cost to the Rockford taxpayers. It will be passed on to guests that are traveling through Rockford. So we're happy to answer any questions. We appreciate the consideration and really are excited for the growth that could come with implementing this tourism improvement district. Thank you.
Alderman Toomberg.
Thanks, Chairman. Tiffany, good to have you in Rockford. Could you give us a real-life example of where this money was used to the success of a hotel somewhere else where this is implemented?
I sure can. So I think maybe I'll just provide an example of a typical use for a modern formation. So these districts have been, the first district was formed in 1990, but as time has evolved, the uses of those funds have evolved as well. We have, in order for us to be able to incentivize business, we generally have to offer subsidies to groups. Sometimes we have to pay commissions or maybe even rebates to organizing groups. If you're familiar with this, it's pretty common for hotels to have to increase their rates and build in commissions and rebates to pay back to an organization in order to incentivize them to come in. Districts like these are using those funds to take care of that expense on behalf of the businesses, allowing them to effectively buy down their rate, keep more money, and be able to secure the business. And so it's a lower cost as a result of using these funds. So that's one example. We have many, most of the time these are used for general sales and marketing and bid incentives to promote down times. And so if you have lower periods of time, and I'm not an expert in your actual cycle of business, but I would guess that maybe January is not a really high volume month for you. These funds are often used to fill those gaps. And so if you have a low period of time in January, you can incentivize business to come in, or you can help in building out the structure or infrastructure that you need in order to support an event that might come to the area. So they are wildly successful. And the reason why is because the businesses are at the table, they are helping govern these, and they are helping identify the best place to use the funds. And so while we have 226 in place, I've been doing this for about 10 years. There was, I think, 154 when I started. They are not only being formed, but they are being renewed at, I think the rate is 95%. If they did not work, hotels would not sign petitions to renew them. So they are very, very successful.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
And I'm sure for you and some of your friends in California, just an FYI, in January we have some good cross-country skiing and sledding hills here in Rockford. So come on back.
I live in Syracuse, New York.
Oh,
So,
New York.
yes,
I thought it was California.
I do. The firm is in California, but I do not.
All right.
Yes,
well,
yes, yes.
Even,
So I'm one of
to you
you.
in New York, we still have some good stuff here in January. So, John, Mr. Groh, we had spoken a little bit earlier a few days ago, and I have a business trip coming up for my day job, and when I made that hotel booking down in another part of the country, 14% was added on to that, to the room stay. I thought that was pretty steep, but could you give us a few examples of what you found in maybe comparable cities to Rockford, as well as please feel free to elaborate on larger cities?
Sure.
And it sounds like
Sure.
I got a discount at 14%.
Yeah, we always want to make sure, and I think the hotels that have signed on to this want to make sure that in all areas they're as competitive as possible. Currently, a guest checking out of a hotel in Rockford pays 14%, similar to that trip you just took. That by and large is about where communities are, between about 13% and 18%. So we looked at all Illinois communities, as well as communities like Overland Park, the Indianapolis area where we compete. We've looked at bigger cities like Fort Wayne and Grand Rapids. I think Grand Rapids is at 21%, which is significantly higher than we would want to be. Peoria is currently, in their 3 districts, they have different areas of town. Their hotel tax is higher than ours is at the base level. So we're not going above where our competitors are by and large, and we're not going above where the 26 hotel owners that have signed on feel comfortable with that rate being for their customers. I think Chicago, as they just enacted for the downtown district, 19.75. Certainly, at getting to 16%, we would not be in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Prunty.
Thank you. You talked about the 26 who joined in, they would be the only beneficiaries. But when the casino hotel comes on board, would they be able to join in?
They will be compelled to join in. So any hotel that is built in the future within the boundaries, Rockford, Loves Park, Cherry Valley, South Beloit, that meet the definition, 45 rooms or more, would automatically come into the district. So thank you, Gino, for committing to getting that hotel done. And I know you all have some conversation on that coming, but Hard Rock and any other hotel that opens would be included in the district in the future.
So of the 31, you said 26 signed on. If at some point the others who didn't sign on decided, hey, this might be, is this open to them?
They would also be required. So any hotel within the unified district that has the minimum threshold of 45 room nights, through the action of city council and the communities, they all will be included.
It's automatic. Okay, thank you.
To petition all of you to start this process, the resolution of intent that's before you tonight, that starts the 30-day window for the public hearing and the future conversations you'd have. We had to be at 50+%, so more than 50%. So with 85 almost percent of the hotels by revenue being represented, we're well in excess of the minimum requirements by the state law. And I credit the 10 different hotel leaders who have been on this committee for the last year, including Marcus Bacon, who's here from Radisson and First Midwest Group, Gino, Chinton, and others who have been having these conversations for the last year to get us to this point.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you so much for the question.
Any other questions? Alderman Bonnie.
Thank you. Excuse me. So you say this is not a tax, but it's a self-imposed assessment, but it would be compulsory. And I was wondering if you can explain how or why this is preferable to hotels simply increasing their rate and creating a fund for sales and marketing to do the things that you would do with this, because I think the public is going to, nobody in the public is going to say, oh, this is a self-imposed assessment. They're going to say it's a tax, and that it's a tax that we are not, that it's not going to be administered. It's a tax that then we are turning over from elected officials to the private sector to administer. And not that there may be not some merit in that as industry experts, but there was a lot. I was out of commission when we raided the cannabis fund to address our deficit, but having money like this in a lockbox, to use your term, there are times when we do need to be able to draw on funds dedicated for a specific purpose to address our day-to-day operations. And I guess I'm looking for an explanation of why we would protect these funds and not other funds. And like we could do the same thing then for the cannabis fund, say, put it in a lockbox, turn it over to somebody else, and don't allow it to ever be used again for to bail out the general fund, which I think was part of the conversation that occurred while I was gone. So I'm just wondering if you can address that.
I think there were several points there, and John, maybe if I could ask you to speak to the economic benefit of the infusion of additional tourism dollars. The businesses agree to put together a district that is, to your point, a compulsory levy, self-imposed in that the process requires a voluntary petition in order to begin, and so the government cannot form this without their permission. It also has securities in the special benefit assessment model, which is particular to the underpinnings of an assessment versus a tax, is there has to be a benefit drawn between the levy, the programming, and the rate in order for it to be an assessment, which makes it very different and also very protected, to your point, than taxes. Just like homeowners associations and other associations that have laws that govern them for protections and oversight by the government, it's a partnership, it's a public-private partnership. Those types of organizations put those in place and bear the financial burden so that they can infuse more dollars generally into a wider program that benefits the greater good of all in that space. And so how you all can benefit and will benefit, and I'll let John talk more about this, is that this will supercharge. So it is required to drive more room nights, so the levy is on the room nights, required to drive more room nights, which will generate more taxes for you. So your bed taxes will grow with this. They have to grow, essentially, with this. And so I'll let you follow up on the economic benefits of supporting tourism.
Yeah, and I believe this council understands, based on your past actions, that, as a strategy, tourism is a good economic strategy. Other people's money helps drive our economy. Other people's money coming in here, whether they're coming for Ironman, for a basketball tournament, for a show at the Coronado, or a game at the BMO, and if they're coming from outside of our community and leaving it here, that's generating support for local jobs, for businesses, and certainly for the tax benefits that will help with the challenges that the city will have and has had in the past. I think the investment, what is unique about this model and the 200 plus districts across the country, is that private industry is saying, we believe in the power of other people's money, and we want more of it coming to our community, and yes, certainly to our individual business. So the investment of additional resources that, as Tiffany mentioned, can only be unlocked with their permission based on this state law is pretty powerful. As a non-home rule community, Rockford is maxed at the hotel tax that you can levy. So the state of Illinois has decided that non-home rule communities can have a 5% hotel tax. You, back in the late 90s, maxed the tax to 5%. So when you add that with the other taxes, that's how we get to the 14. So without private industry coming to the table to be a partner, the city wouldn't be able to unlock this opportunity. These 26 business owners have said, we believe that collectively we can work together for the greater good. And I hope that the events that you've seen take place, that come to our community, that you all participate in, and you see the benefit of the visitor dollar moving around our community and infusing our economy is sufficient to say, let's move to the next step. This resolution of intent is not saying we are doing this. It's saying, let's continue to have conversations. Let's move to have a public hearing some 30+ days from now. And then from there, the ordinance, additional details on the plan will be shared with council, and hoteliers who have been part of this all along can, of course, continue to be part of that conversation with you.
Go ahead, Alderman Bonnie.
So I'm not arguing against the benefits of tourism. I fully believe in that, but I'm not sure I heard an answer to the question of, rather than have us impose a tax that's controlled by hotel owners, why don't the hotel owners get together, increase their rates, rather than create a tax, and then pool that rate increase into a fund that could be used for sales and marketing, so that it's a rate increase versus a tax?
So I can address that, I think, a little bit, because as we know, every single business is independently owned and operated, and everyone's going to look for their own benefit and try to boost their revenues. With something like this, to get everybody on the same page is very difficult, and then to police that, to make sure that the accounting is there, the checks and balances are there, that the collections will be there, and then those funds are used for the purpose which it was meant for. This is where somebody outside of that circle has to be involved, so that everybody in the circle can feel more integrity towards that process, towards that system. So having the city be that policing agent for the collection and the distribution of this fund really helps us as business owners to know that, okay, this will work because we have the backing of everybody else around us.
Thank you.
But just to be clear, Mr. Grove, the tourism district is actually governed by an Illinois state statute that defines clearly like the services and how the specifics of how the money can be spent that's collected, correct?
That's correct.
And you indicated that because we're non-home rule, there's a cap on it?
There's a cap on your ability to just increase the tax yourself, and therefore if you want to supercharge, marketing, sales, promotion, development of tourism as a industry and as a strategy, this is a way to do that. That is very popular and very successful across the country.
But the restriction on us being non-home rule, that's not part of the
That's
service
not
act,
part
is
of
it?
this. Correct.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Fronti.
Thank you. Would this be, require more staff from the city level as well as from the Go Rockford level?
So I would defer to Director Haggerty on the collection side.
Ms. Haggerty.
Thank you. So we're already collecting hotel motel taxes from most of the businesses that this tax would apply to. So it for this finance department, from an administrative perspective, this is a very small additional amount of work for us.
And then as it relates to our team, we will have conversations with the hotel owner committee about what they would like to accomplish. And we will determine whether or not additional staff, whether it be marketing staff or sales staff, maybe some financial management, based on the program that we agree to, we would then put a proposal together with them, with that committee, to determine if staff is needed. These funds would cover those costs.
Go ahead.
I think I saw on the slide that there was administrative fees. Is that for the city?
Yes.
And you would also take administrative fees?
So by state law, the collecting municipality can recuperate, and we're proposing 1.5% of the collection to cover any administrative costs that the city has. There may be additional, within the budget, funds allocated for operations and overhead, we will have to have an annual audit of these funds, and so that's an allowable administrative expense as well.
And in the proposed budget, you'll see that there's a 7.5% administrative. That would be where headcount would be counted towards, but you see the bulk of it, 73%, really goes to the sales, marketing, the real programmatic efforts to drive more visitors to Rockford. It's not meant to be, this program, both in Rockford and across the state and across the country, is not meant as just a way to add headcount to an organization. That's not the purpose of this. It's really to drive that programmatic piece.
All right. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor indicate by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Let's do a motion. Yeah, we brought them up there. Can we do a motion to approve the resolution declaring the intent to form the Rock Regional Tourism Improvement District, fixing the time and place of public hearing and advancement? Is there a motion to approve? Okay. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. All right. Thank you for that. Moving on to item number 8, authorization of funding for concrete improvements at BMO Center in the amount of $1,152,116.20. The funding source is the redevelopment fund. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes. Item 9 is award of contract for permit and code enforcement software to GovPilot in the amount of $305,320 in year 1 and $212,000 annually in years 2 and 3. It's a 3-year contract with 2 possible 1-year extension options with a 5% increase in fees during the extension years. The funding source is the Information Technology and Integration Fund. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Second.
Any questions for staff? Alderman Toomberg.
Thanks, Chairman. This is much anticipated by, I think I'd speak on behalf of the Alderman on this. I do hope it's as efficient as it's been conveyed. We expect it to be, we expect it to be user-friendly for the residents of Rockford as well, correct?
Correct. It should be, it's a much more modern of a system. Our old system met needs and was built for the time that it was adopted in, but this is what we expect it to be. This will be mobile friendly again, laptop friendly, all those things, but have an AI component. So like as you're starting to try and put your request in, it will help guide you towards the right things that you're trying to report, help ask for information. It'll be the same kind of system where a resident can put something in anonymously or not, but still give a case number that they can look up later. If you do it and put your own information in, there's a much more reliable system for getting notifications and updates on how things are going. And we'll have some user controls for setting, like how we're even interacting and sending you all reports on what we're seeing in your ward or what you've reported. So just a whole different level of ease with this software.
But I love talking with my constituents, and I talk with them a lot.
You do.
And so this may ease that situation in a sense.
Correct.
That I read that there is going to be support from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Is that, I couldn't tell though, if that was for example, in this case, the city, if they needed support for this program, that they can call that company directly between 8 and 5, or did that include if a resident had issues, would they be able to use that customer support?
I believe that was probably both. I think those are their customer service hours. So whoever is, they would definitely, they'd have access point when the customer's getting on. So there's a customer service line there. But I believe those are the hours that they're available for customer support. It's not a 24/7.
No, but it's not just relegated possibly to city staff who are having issues maybe with the program. there's a possibility this could mean residents who are having issues with the program to call that customer service support line?
I think if they're having issues like it's not accepting my information or the screen just blanks out, like, you know how I think like when you have something in your cache and it won't accept new fields, I doubt that will happen with this software, but theoretically, yes, there'd be a customer service line. Yeah.
All right. 'Cause
You could refer
normally,
them there.
us aldermen have been the customer service line when there's been issues in the past on such, so thank you.
Sure.
Alderman Salgado?
Thank you, Chairman. Couple questions. The first one that I have is, I noticed that its funding source is the Information Technology Integration Fund. So what is our current software that we currently use, and what costs do we incur? Is this pretty comparable to the 305 versus the 212 after that? So don't know if it comes out of the economic or allocation from the IT department specifically for this. So wanted to ask that first question, and then I'll follow up.
Sure. So Infor is currently in the same budget, the IT budget. The portion, there is a portion in the Community and Economic Development Department budget for project docs, which is the review. So we currently have two softwares. So this one software will take over both. So we will have some savings in the Community and Economic Development budget. And then for cost comparisons, the 305 is pretty similar. I think the costs for Infor have somewhat varied. So we've had years at 288, we had a year at 405, and that was somewhat having to get contracted work to amend code and try and clean things up. So the different years there were different costs for the software. So the first year is comparable, and then we expect a cost savings moving forward. The 212 will be lower, and Ann probably might have information more on that, but there's definitely going to be a cost savings moving forward.
And as a follow-up to that, the integration of this system, is it very seamless from that perspective? And then because I know Laura sends out the metrics by month, kind of dictating, we had so many, these numbers, we helped out so many, constituents or whatever. So where I'm going with this is the reporting aspect of it and the integration piece of it, if that's going to be all squared away, which I'm assuming you guys have done your homework on that, but just a question from that perspective.
Yes,
from
there's
training,
a lot of
from
drivers.
getting,
Yes,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers for moving to new software. The customer experience, both for all of you, for us, for contractors, for citizens, the customer experience needed to be elevated tremendously, but we are very much looking forward to the management tool side of this. This will have reporting, malleable reporting, that we will be able to make work for us and to watch more of those sorts of numbers. We lost track. We were keeping track of some things, as you noticed. We got to Laura and we kept track of some things, but if you look at Rockstat reports, the old Rockstat, there was a lot more that we were able to determine on a monthly basis. And this will help us return to that kind of management level.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Alderman Meeks?
You know what, Alderman Salgado asked my question, so thank you.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
Mr. Chairman, back on resolution 4, on number 1, maybe it's right, but it says that the funds are from 2022 budget surplus. Is that to be true, or is that not true?
You're on number 4?
On number 1, okay, resolution Roman number 4.
Oh, okay.
Number 1. It says the contract duration is through February 27th. The funding source is 2022 budget surplus. Let's just know if that's true.
Sure. Ms. Haggerty?
How much surplus is there?
Yes, that's accurate. Council approved a plan, separate plans both for 2022 and 2023 budget surpluses. Those funds have been held in the general fund or their respective funds, waiting to be spent. If they have not already been spent, most of them have. But the funds that were allocated for Fire Station 10 are held in the CAP currently for use for these projects.
Thank you.
So is
I
it?
have some follow-up, but I'll do it all.
So just real quickly, is it in the CIP fund or the surplus?
Yes, the funds were transferred to the CAP fund for the pending construction project. So because we pivoted, it will be moved back to the general fund to spend on these specific improvements.
I guess my question is it really then the 2022 budget surplus or not?
These were funds that were created as part of the 2022 budget surplus that City Council approved a specific plan on how those were to be spent. So $10 million was set aside for the construction of a new fire station. This project will be funded out of that allocation.
All right, motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor indicate aye. Aye. This means adjourned.
Call to order the Code and Regulation Committee meeting for Monday, August 10th, 2026. Clerk, could you please call the roll? Here.
Here.
Present.
Here. By present, we have 3 items before us under committee reports. Item number 1, request for the annexation of 14XX Export Road, 34XX Export Road, 36XX Prairie Road. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, could you please call the roll? Aye.
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 Chairman, point of clarification. I don't think we had a discussion over this item. I think we skipped past that part. We went right to a vote. But if we're
Sure, we can, I guess we can hold the vote. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Mr. Capavilla. This states there's a proposed solar farm subject property has requested annexation. Can you tell us a little bit about the solar farm and how it could potentially impact the area? I know the last time I think we talked about a solar farm was in the 13th Ward, and that was off of Kilburn Avenue. So if you could just give us an update or a summary of this, please.
Sure, Alderman Bell. This is a piece of property that's, the owner's name is Mark Momsen, and he's been actively marketing it, and he's been talking to various people at the city over the last few years. He came to us because he's got a very unusual shaped property. It's very triangular up on the north part of it, and so solar made sense. And we worked with him on this agreement, and he had a solar company that approached him named Sol America. They just went through the ZBA in July. And if this is approved, then the solar farm will come to committee next. But staff was in favor of it. So strategically, it's a good move for us. It keeps the development under control of the city, and instead of allowing it to just happen in the county. So having it annexed to the city gives us greater control, and it will help us grow in the future.
Thank you. Chairman, follow up. Mr. Cagnoni. Mr. Cagnoni, sorry, to interrupt your conversation. A quick question on this. When we talk about the solar industry, I've talked about it many, many times. We even passed, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, a funding agreement with IBEW to better prepare our young individuals in our community for better career opportunities. Was there any conversation with this developer to include the CJA Hub cohorts to possibly get some of our certified students into this project?
Alderman, I haven't had any conversations with the developer of the solar farm.
Okay. So no.
Not had any conversations with the developer of the solar farm.
Okay, I do plan to support this. However, I'd love to I'll be reaching out to the developer to see if he has any interest. And that ultimately would determine my support at council. But I'm in favor of moving this forward and not delaying the layover during committee. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Clerk, could you please call the roll? Aye.
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 Item passes. Item number 2, annexation agreement for 14XX Export Road, 34XX Export Road, 36XX Prairie Road. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Bell?
Thank you. For this annexation agreement, Mr. Kignoni, would it be appropriate, and we can lay this item over, but my desire is to make a motion to amend this annexation agreement to require workforce development for this project? And if that is out of order, I'd like to lay it over to see what we can do to include some sort of workforce development on this project.
Thank you, Alderman. Items 1 and 2 are connected to one another, so it would make sense if there's going to be a layover that you'd lay them both over. But that certainly at your discretion, the agreement can catch up with the annexation at some point in the future. I should note that there's also a special use permit that's gone through the Zoning Board of Appeals process, and that will catch up should the annexation and annexation agreement advance forward. Understanding that we have an executed annexation agreement with the property owner, we would need to re-engage with the property owner and the developer to see what their efforts are related to workforce connection and what they would be willing to do, so that we would have a package that could be implemented if there's an amendment.
Thank you. I guess, I don't know what's better, to lay it over now and get it set in committee and then bring it to full council, or push this through and have it amended at council. So just to pump the brakes on this, I'll make a motion to lay this item over.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, I believe we need to do a roll call vote for the layover. Yep. No.
Aye.
I think that, were you waiting for discussion?
Yeah, again, we didn't have discussion on the motion.
Guess we could back up and have discussion on the motion. Alderman Bonnie?
Well, first of all, I guess I'd ask if the alderman making the motion wouldn't want to amend it to include item 1, as Mr. Cagnoni just suggested, that they are related. And I mean, I'm also, I guess I don't really see the point in the layover, because we do still have special use permit coming before council, and as Mr. Capavilla noted, that annexing gives us control of the property, and the rest can be worked out later. And as the 13th Ward Alderman noted, you could amend this at council. I don't see the need to lay it over now at committee.
Alderman Bell.
Thank you. If I go back a few weeks, there have been, on the same topic of bridging the gap between our workforce opportunity in our community and the projects that we approve here on council, and ensuring that our trained workforce development graduates through the CJA Hub, a state-funded program in our community, one of just a few in the state, have an opportunity to be a part of these projects. Moving it out of committee to council previously just has not worked for me, and so I have some pause with moving this forward out of committee with less, control from individuals on the Code and Regulations Committee. And so I'd not make an amendment to my motion. Should it fail, we can continue the conversation, but I'll call the question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Clerk, could you please call the roll? Nay.
Aye.
Nay. No.
Aye.
No.
So we will now vote on item number 2. Any further discussion on the item? Alderman Bell.
Thank you. I'm sure it's clear now. I would love to work with you guys on ensuring that the CJIC hub is brought up to speed and connected at least with the developer, and would love, as this goes to council next week, more conversation or a report back, Mr. Kignoni, on what conversation was had maybe with the developer. And I'll also reach out to. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Clerk, could you please call the roll? Aye.
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 No.
Aye.
Item passes. Finally, item number 3, the proposed landmark designation for the property located at 1202 Eddy Avenue. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alderwoman Prunty.
I just had a question. In the description, it said that there was a packet, and my attachment didn't appear to have the packet. I requested it, but I didn't get the email either, so.
Administrator Kignoni. Yep.
Thank you, Chairman. Alderwoman, you are correct. There is a reference in the memo related to the packet from the Historic Preservation Commission and the application. However, when I checked the agenda, it was not on there. So understanding that you didn't get the packet, if you would like to lay the item over, that's certainly understandable. If you want to advance it forward and have us provide the packet via email tomorrow, we're happy to do that as well. Certainly Scott can talk to the details in regards to the application and the recommendation of the Historic Preservation Commission, as well as the outstanding code violations on the property that our code enforcement team has been pursuing, including up to demolition of the structure.
Could we hear from Mr. Capovello before I ask whether or not, before I decide if we want to do a layover, or if I want to ask for a layover?
It's appropriate.
So this item was brought forward by Mr. Herdklatz. He owns the property at 1202 Eddy, and the application was filled out as any other historic landmark application would be. There was a couple of things that were checked on the box of significance, one being exceptional example of a historic or vernacular style, and one of the few remaining in the city of Rockford, which this would be because it is a picturesque work or considered streamlined modern architecture. But the second one, the property most closely associated with life or activities of a major historic person, organization, or group. The Historic Preservation Commission had that stricken from the actual approval because they don't feel that just being a toy factory in Rockford was something of significant event historically. So, but it did meet all the rest of the criteria. And yes, we had been pursuing a code case against this property initially. The owner of this property, due to that, it came forward with this application and has pulled a permit to fix the roof now, and he's intent on restoring the property and hopefully restoring it to the way it used to look when it was constructed.
How is the property being used right now?
Currently, we consider it a vacant property. I know that the owner is storing some materials there, but technically, we would consider it a vacant property.
Thank you.
Any further, Alderman Bonnie?
Thank you. Mr. Capadilla, I wasn't present for this. I am on the Preservation Commission, and again, while I was on medical leave, this went through there. But what a building can be considered for landmark status based on its cultural significance, not just its architectural significance. Correct? So I guess
correct.
If this, Rockford does have a notable history in toy manufacturing, and I guess, and my understanding is the name of the toy manufacturer that used to be headquartered there is escaping me at the moment, but I guess I don't understand why the commission felt that that wasn't a valid reason. Not, I mean, I understand it's a unanimous recommendation for landmark approval, but I would think that that would be a second strong reason to approve it.
So, Alderman Vani, yes, unfortunately you weren't there, and I know how much you love landmarks, so it would have been great to have you in on the discussion. But the commissioners all were in agreement that it's Midge Toys, by the way, was the name of the toy company. But we also had Nyland Toys in the city, and we also had Tester. So it wasn't like this was the only toy maker in Rockford. If it was the only toy maker in Rockford, it might carry a little more significance, and that was one of the reasons why the commissioners decided that they wanted that stricken and they only wanted to go with the architecture.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Would
Alderwoman
this-
Prunty.
Oh,
Yep, go ahead.
thank you. In what way would this determination, this distinction as landmark, would that help this funding wise? Or would it help them get funding to do some of the repairs?
Well, Alderwoman Prunty, it would make him eligible to apply for historic tax credits, and then he would have to follow all the guidelines with SHPO on the redevelopment of the property. And he also then would have to come forward to our Historic Preservation Commission for any improvements he would make to the outside of the property or on any of the grounds as well, and get approval, what we call a certificate of appropriateness for that landmark.
And is it just the commission who would look at that, or is that also, it would also be staff, right? Who would look?
No, it's just the commission, the Historic Preservation Commission. The only thing that comes forward to City Council is what we're discussing this evening. All other things, and people want to fix a porch, replace a door, replace a window, those all just go to the Historic Preservation Commission for approval. Those approvals don't have to come to council. I think you'd be really bored if you had to review all of the things that we review for historic preservation.
Yeah, I think so too, but I'm just kidding. I actually spoke with one of the commissioners regarding some things, but I guess I really can wait for the more information to come, but can we get the rest of the package soon so that?
My apologies. I thought that was attached to this, and I'll make sure that it goes out tomorrow to everybody.
All right, thank you.
So there's a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, could you please call the roll? Aye.
I'm sorry, Karina?
Aye.
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 Item passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion a second. Meeting adjourned. Code and Regulation Committee adjourned.
Good evening. We will call to order the City of Rockford Special City Council meeting for Monday, August 10th, 2026. Clerk, could you please call a roll?
Logeman. Here. Toomberg.
Here.
Frost.
Here.
Torina. Here. Prunty. Here. Neal. Here. Hoffman. Here. Granite. Here. Beach.
Here.
Salgado.
Present.
Meeks. Here. Bell.
Present.
Bonnie.
Here.
13 present.
Excellent. Thank you. We have a quorum this evening. Council, we have one item before us. That's item 2.1, Roman numeral 2, item 1, election of alderperson to serve as acting mayor pursuant to 65 ILCS 5-3.1-10-50-f. At this time, is there Alderman Frost?
Thank you.
Give me one second. Yep.
Before there's, I believe there's a motion, but before we get to the motion, I just wanted to express kind of the history. Last Monday, I sent an email to our legal director concerning, and you hit it right, Section 50 of the Illinois statutes concerning this matter, concerning whether or not we as a city, due to the timing of your announcement to resign, would be appropriate, not under the ordinance. It's important to know that we do meet the requirements of Section 50, subsection F, because it is greater than 28 months. My position was that Section F1 does not apply because that allowed for an election of an acting mayor if there's under 28 months. And it's important to know that this specific statute was amended in 2025, 2021, 2015, 2008, 2005. And I bring that up because I had the privilege and pleasure of talking to Carrie Lynn Kraftheffer, who we received her a memo from her yesterday. She called me last week. I spoke to her about this matter, and again, we spoke today for about an hour. And I do agree with some of the items that she mentions, but one thing we agreed on was that the statute under F is not ambiguous. There is no ambiguity, and it's not as if there's more than one interpretation of Section F. She acknowledges that. She believed that maybe it was left out in error, and my point on that as well, it's been amended 6 times. So if the state legislature has had a crack to amend or modify this, 6 different times over the last 10 years, and they've chosen not to. Another point on this lack of clarity is that nowhere in the memo that she created does it identify something that's very crucial to our city, unfortunately, and that is that we are not a home rule town. We do not have home rule. It was taken away. As an alderman, I was here, we tried to get it back and we failed. So we talked about cities like Evanston and Harvey, Illinois, that have either had by death someone get an acting mayor get appointed, and the nuances, they have home rule. So they can form a rules committee and make their own set of rules on how they're going to elect, and they did. But we don't have that ability. We heard tonight from Mr. Groh talking about the TID. We are limited by statute because there's a statute on it that says what we can and can't do. And in fact, there's another statute that says that because we don't have home rule, we have to follow the express authority of state law. We can't just, I respect her as an attorney, but her memo just says, well, you know what, since it's not in there, let's just kind of make it up. Here's a couple options to consider, because in practicality, if you follow the law, you don't have a mayor. And I get that, but I'm not on the state legislature, right? I didn't make the law. I'm an officer of the court. I have to interpret the law and abide by the law. So what's our option? Well, we really would need a special session of the legislature to fix or amend, if they choose to, Section 50F, or perhaps in the veto session. In fact, she actually, in the last paragraph, kind of hit it on the head and put the burden on our mayor, who's going to be the new director of the IML, and said, hey, when you start your job, please fix this. And so I just, and the reason why I say this is because we can't just snap our fingers and do what is proposed. I understand the practicality, like, well, you know, there hasn't been a town that hasn't had a mayor. Well, I said, show me what other towns greater than 50,000 people have been in this situation without home rule. And she can't, right? There is no other example to point to on that. So, you know, and again, it'd be akin to us saying, you know, our CIP budget is $300 million, but we only collected this year $200 million in funds on sales taxes or motor fuel taxes. So guys, we're just gonna have to take the 1% tax and make it 2%. We have absolutely no authority to do that, none. You know, if we wanted to change our real estate transfer tax because we just need a little bit more money, or like we have in reality this year, we have a budget crisis. We can't just amend items that have where it is required to follow the express law of our state. Since we don't have home rule, we have to follow the express law, and that's what our authority is for. Otherwise, I believe it would be dangerous. So without going into much further ado, I just wanted to point out what my position is, the research I've done, the conversations I've had, and why I'm not saying, I don't know why the state legislature did what they did. But one of the other things that was never discussed was sometimes when you're trying to figure that out, they look at something called legislative intent. And they go back and they look at the actual transcripts of the debate on the floor of the House or the Senate to see what specifically was discussed. Well, that wasn't done. So since that's not done, I am very uncomfortable as an officer of the court going forward and voting on an acting mayor because, again, she then reaches out to Section 51, which governs all cities greater than 500,000. There's only one city in our state that has more than 500,000 people, and that's the city of Chicago. And there's scores and scores of legislation and statutes that govern specifically either the city of Chicago or Cook County. So again, she's on board. Like, you just can't say, well, we're going to follow Chicago law, we're going to follow Section 51, because it doesn't apply to us. We're not over 500,000. We follow the one that says that you're under 500,000. So that's my point, and I wanted to make it clear why I feel the way I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Thunberg.
Thank you, Mayor. I, along with probably many people here on council, read and reread that memorandum, and I appreciate this Carrie Lynn's contribution to this. A few things that reading through it is, yes, it alluded to the statute with 500,000 people or more, which, of course, as Alderman Frost pointed out, is Chicago. It also touched on municipalities with 5,000 people or less. A big differentiation on how they can go about things, of course. To maybe insinuate we should follow Chicago law is, again, I would say we're probably closer in size to towns 5,000 or around 5,000. But I feel that there are, when I read this, it's subjective in such a way. Is there a state statute that addresses our specific situation? And the answer would be, to my knowledge, no. So, are we going to come up with our own reasons or our own rules to do what we are looking possibly to do tonight, when there really is no statute in our laws to do so? I think that could be a slippery slope. Could it entail just one person in our community to file a lawsuit for our doings tonight, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm happy to say that. But then are we going to find ourselves in a court situation? But I just, when it talks in this memo, the statute clearly specifies that an acting mayor is to be appointed to serve out the remainder of the term in a situation where the vacancy is created with less than 28 months. Specifically, and I quote, which is not the situation here. So again, we're not in that situation. I quote, the lack of clear language applicable to this situation. So, again, I would say that with the matter being, could be subjective, I mean, is there a possibility that this could be, our situation could be sent to another law firm that specializes in municipal law and get an answer that says, hey, according to with the situation you're in, and according to your state statutes, you guys are kind of in a pickle here. And so, and basically saying there has to be something done on the state level through the legislator before you can move forward with this. And so, my thought is that I'm going to listen tonight and see. I think we're happy to vote as long as we or I or some of us believe that we are following the laws of Illinois, which we were sworn in to do. And frankly, if there's no law for our situation, there's nothing in its statutes of our situation, do we move forth with this, or do we wait for our local legislators to address this, which would probably be at the lame duck session in November, and then move forward with it from there? So I will give up the floor for the time being. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm just jotting down names here. I saw Meeks, Neal, Beach, Bonnie. Meeks, please.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that I feel comfortable moving forward and I'm ready to vote. I appreciate the language that was given to us from our legal director. I appreciated the language that she gave to us the first time, and I'm happy that we're circling back to that particular language. I think that that's how we should all move forward. And I just want to say thank you to the legal director for putting in all of the effort initially, putting in the effort after it was questioned, and getting us confirmation on your original memo so that we can move forward. I think everybody feels that we need an acting mayor in this interim period. I could be wrong about that based on the just kind of the delay of this process. But I think it's very important that we have as much consistency as we can have during this time while we are searching for the new mayor. And that's just my opinion, but I feel very comfortable in the decision that was made and our ability to move forward with making a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Neal.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was just wondering if our legal team has any response to add to what the alderman of the 5th Ward brought up.
You mean
4th Ward.
I'm sorry.
4th Ward.
Yes, 4th Ward.
Director Hammer.
Thank you, Mayor. So I think the memo does a good job of outlining the plain language in the statute, and I agree that it is problematic by a plain language reading of it. However, based on the analysis done by the attorneys from Ansel Glink, in addition to the plain meaning exception, that if a literal reading of the plain language in a statute causes a clear absurdity, then it's implied that the legislature intended a different interpretation. So I think that's also a principle that is applicable in this situation, because I do agree with the alderman of the 4th Ward that there is a discrepancy in the plain reading of the statute. However, I'm comfortable in moving forward with the election of the acting mayor based on the guidance that we've received from the Ansel Glink law firm, as well as the plain meaning exception of statutory construction.
Thank you.
I certainly can't add to any of the legalese, Alderwoman Neal, but I do know, I don't know Carrie Lynn, Kraft Heifer, or, but in doing some research on Stuart Diamond, I think his specialty is municipal law, and I believe he's a partner at that law firm. Did you have other comments?
No, thank you.
Alderman Beach.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do also want to thank our legal director. I know I've spoken to her many times. I know that she spent a lot of time. And I know the idea was to get another opinion. And what's interesting is the other opinion kind of just is the same opinion that she had initially. And so when I look at I've read it, I put so many underlines, I don't know that I could see it all, but it says the statute is completely silent. We talked about that to our 4th Ward Alderman, lawyer. Then it says that because of the direct lack of statutory language, and they give 3 options. That was talked about tonight. Now what I want to ask, it says the first would be to simply appoint an acting mayor. Who would do that? Who would make the appointment? Because the second says was simply appoint a mayor pro tem. Who would be that person to appoint? It doesn't say elect, it says appoint.
Director Hammer.
Alderman Beach, can you point me to where you're reading in the memo? I just want to make sure.
I'm on page 2, and I'm down in paragraph 1, 2, 3. It says here, because of the lack of statutory language applicable to the situation, there appears to be 3 options, all of which are discussed below. The first would be to simply appoint an acting mayor. Then it goes down. The second would be to appoint a mayor pro tem, and the third is to operate without a mayor. Those are the 3 choices that he came up with. So I didn't say the word was appoint. I'm saying who would appoint?
So our rules of procedure speak to appointments, and if you can just bear with me here, I believe the rules adopted allow the mayor to make appointments upon the advice and consent of city council. So I would presume that is the rule that would guide the appointment provision that the memo refers to.
Thank you. So, in other words, as I understand it, oftentimes the mayor puts before us a list of department heads or wherever and asks us to confirm it. I would guess I understand the mayor could, in fact, say, I'd like to put up to this council this person or that person to serve either as mayor or the mayor pro tem. That's kind of how I see it. Thank you for letting me speak.
Mr. Cagnoni already said no to me, so I'm joking. We have Alderman Bonney, then Alderman Frost, then Alderwoman Prunty.
Thank you, Mayor. So I don't disagree with points that the 3rd and 4th Ward aldermen have made, but about this legal opinion that we have now from an outside counsel, but I'm not hearing a motion to get another legal opinion. I'm not hearing a motion to lay it over or to direct the mayor or staff to talk with appropriate state officials about what might be a correction to the state law that could occur in time to address Mayor McNamara's departure at the end of the month. So setting aside a decision on whether we agree or disagree with the legal opinion that we have and we move forward, what I asked our legal director to draft is a recommendation for a process that we would follow should we decide to move forward and elect or select a interim or mayor pro tem. And you know, my thoughts on it were really three things: that the law, the state statute does say that it should be an election by this body of one of our own, not an appointment. And an election is a choice between candidates. It's not yay or nay on an individual. The second is if we were to approach it that way, where we place a name in nomination, one name only, and then we vote yay or nay on that, we're creating a situation where we're going to be voting no on each other, and as opposed to expressing a preference for one of us over some potential other candidates. And I just think we could use that diplomacy at this juncture, and we're gonna, it appears that we have several interested aldermen who would like to be selected. And I think the third reason is that if we do a series of yea or nay votes, the sequence of that could affect the outcome. You know, whose name goes up first versus whose name goes up last. And as you know, maybe aldermen fail to get to a majority vote, you know, that then builds support for somebody else whose name would be called on later. So with that, I'm going to move, assuming that we don't lay this over tonight, that we agree that we establish a rule for a selection process, assuming we move forward. And so that would be that I move that the council establish the following voting procedure to elect an acting mayor for the vacancy effective on August 30th, 2026. Number one, that the mayor opens the nomination process and leaves the nomination process open until no further nominees are placed up for consideration. Then number two, that the nominees shall collectively be placed before the council for consideration, by which each alderperson will vote for one nominee by stating the last name of the nominee via roll call vote. And three, in the event that one nominee fails to receive a majority of the votes after the initial vote, only the two nominees who received the most votes in the initial vote shall be considered for subsequent votes for the acting mayor to fill the vacancy that occurs. And my thought on number three is simply that helps us potentially break any logjam and get to a majority vote. So,
second. So we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? And I know I have several names that had questions or comments, discussion items prior. So I had those lists. I will come back after this vote if you don't have any discussion on this vote. So we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion on Alderman Bell?
Thanks, Mayor. Would this motion to establish voting procedures to elect an acting mayor remove the option for mayor to appoint the mayor pro tem that the 10th Ward Alderman referred to a few moments ago? Director Hammer.
Director Hammer?
Thank you. So I don't know that the appointment of a mayor pro temp is a viable option because under state statute and our own ordinances, a mayor pro temp is only applicable when there is no vacancy. And by the mayor's resignation effective August 30th, that creates the vacancy. So I don't believe an appointment of a mayor pro temp would be applicable due to the vacancy that will be created on August 30th.
Thank you for that clarification on that item. Thanks.
Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second before us. Is there any discussion on that motion or second? Clerk, could you please call a roll on the amendment?
Bogeman.
Aye.
Toomber.
Abstain.
Frost.
I abstain.
Torina.
Aye.
Prunty.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Graniff.
Aye.
Beach.
I abstain.
Salgado.
Aye.
Meeks.
Abstain.
Bell.
Aye.
Bonnie.
Aye.
9 ayes, 4 abstains.
Okay, thank you. Council, we have one item before us that's been amended, and we had a number of people in the queue. Alderman Frost, then Alderwoman Prunty, then Alderman Bell.
And again, I'm not trying necessarily to change anyone's opinion. I'm frankly just making a record. So one thing I want to say about the report or the letter from Ansel Blank that's seminal is on the last page it says, "We believe, if challenged, a court would not find that the legislative intent was to have a situation." And I talked about that with her, and really that's the cover that they have is that, like, well, the mayor pro tem doesn't work. Right? I mean, the question then becomes, well, how could you act without a mayor? Again, I don't know. That's not my question to ask. That's up to the state legislature. So it's filling in the void of trying to be practical, and I do understand practicality, but at the same time, their opinion, because I do believe that this definitely could result in someone filing a preliminary injunction or TRO subsequent to a vote. And I'm not saying that to scare anyone, because the vote's the vote. And I'm just making it aware that people have contacted me already about proceeding down that road. And so I just, and her and I did talk about that, and her opinion as well. Geez, I don't know if the judge out there is going to allow, the city of Rockford, a city of 150,000 people, to act without a mayor. And I said, I don't know. I don't really answer that. But I do know that we don't have home rule. We got 140 some odd thousand people, and we have to follow the rules. And that's not in dispute. And just with respect to our legal director, I do want to thank you. You've been very kind and very gracious in asking a lot of questions. I'm sure not just of me, but of others. And I know that best efforts are done. And I applaud you for reaching out to someone like Ansel Link, because frankly, like I told you, I called another partner at Ansel Link. It was the first person I called, because I do know that they are a firm that does a great deal of work in a wide variety of municipal work. They've defended us on some of our police cases before. They do, and Carrie is an expert on election law, but this issue doesn't fall under the Illinois election code. And that's the point I made. This isn't an election code issue. So, thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Prunty?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Alderman Bell?
Thanks, Mayor. Didn't have an opportunity to ask your opinion on this in caucus, nor did I know that there was an opportunity or potential opportunity previously for you as a Democratic leader around this horseshoe to take a vote at caucus. But as you transition and hand this current state of your administration over to one of us around this horseshoe. I mean, do you have a preference of who should be the next mayor to take on and finish these next 8 months?
I certainly do. I think the person needs to be someone who's going to listen to the exceptional staff that we have here at the city. It needs to be someone who is honest and forthright and follows through. And as I stated when I first did my press conference, I'm happy to make a vote, and I will if it needs it, but I think I'm not going to be here as mayor or part of this group, and I think it's a little unfair. I was a little stunned that I actually get to have a vote. So as I stated, I will have council vote, and if you guys can't come to an agreement or get someone to that point, I'm not going to taint that process until it's needed to get someone over that hump to get them the majority of those who are present.
And if I may continue,
Sure.
Just some of the top priorities this individual should be focused on over the next 8 months. Obviously, we have a special election scheduled for April 7th, 2027, if I'm not mistaken. What should we continue to focus on, or should this person focus on as you transition out?
Yeah, I would say the beauty and the difficulty of the office of mayor, you're not going to be able to focus on one priority. I would say there are incredible items before us. I mean, certainly always at the forefront to me is public safety. I think also when you look at the strength of our neighborhoods, we need to, I'm happy that our property values are increasing, but we need to make sure that our neighborhoods are a place that everyone can afford to be and that they can thrive, and that they also feel that their children can be outside and play. I think we need to, in our neighborhoods, continue to make our community a more walkable and pedestrian and cycling friendly community. I think we need to continue to increase the quality of life that's taking place in our neighborhoods. I think when you look at an economic development standpoint, I think there are significant opportunities before the city of Rockford. I'm not speaking to ones that are before us today, but I think we are actually in position. We saw it if you look at Hillwood. When we do planning right and we just won another grant, we can attract new businesses to our area. We need to grow our economy to create more jobs, but also create more revenue for the city. I think when you look at an education standpoint, I think Rockford Promise is truly in its infancy. We don't control all of education, so I would say I'll take one step back. I think if you look at the incredible important work that our own team does when it comes to Head Start, helping early learners, it's the best thing that we can do. And then when you look at what we are doing with Rockford Promise, providing first-generation college students the opportunity to go to college, leave there debt-free, and have an impact immediately, not just on their family, but their community, it's important. I would also say some of the biggest concerns I have is what I stated in my press conference. It's alarming to me to see what I believe are national responsibilities being pushed down to the state level. And they're being pushed down at the state level with no funding attached to them. Those then are being, not those exact ones, but other responsibilities are being pushed down to cities. And to couple that, as you all have heard me talk at great length, we are being asked to do a lot more with money being taken from us. I mean, in the last 12 years, I think it's been $144 million-ish that has just been taken from the city of Rockford. We can't do anything about it. You look at the number of unfunded mandates that are continually being proposed by Republican and Democrat legislators, it's putting an incredible strain on communities. We are probably in the middle of the road, maybe just below that, and when you look at the pressures we're facing and where our budget is going. So all of those concerns and many others that I will not bore everyone with, but I just think there are incredible concerns, and I think this group really, whoever the acting mayor is, I get it. There'll be divisions and there'll be, you know, oh, I wanted this person or that person. All I would say, they're going to need all the support in the world that you can give them. So if you support them or not, they're still just working for the city. We need everyone to come together and support that individual for the next 7-8 months. I do think we're fortunate to have an incredibly strong staff that will walk alongside that individual and this council through that process. They have incredible experience and expertise and professionalism. I know when I walked into the seat, you kind of think you know different things, and you just really got to ask a lot of questions, not just of them, but other experts in our city and you on council. Sorry for the long-winded dates.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, nominations are now in order for acting mayor due to the vacancy effective August 30th, 2026. Are there any individuals?
I need to make a comment.
Alderman Salgado?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment real quick.
Okay.
In regards to the Democratic caucus, I just want to be clear and transparent. Gotten a couple comments. I don't look at Facebook very much. It's been going some back and forth that there's a plot or there was a plot. Not from my standpoint. Just be clear. I came from the county where, and maybe you guys, there he goes again talking about Winnebago County as a county board member. But I just want to remind folks, you know, we did it through Marilyn Height Ross, a state's attorney, if you guys recall, where our Judge Rosemary Collins was also as well up for nomination for that. The Democratic caucus chose Marilyn Height Ross, and the Republicans stood by because it was Joe Briscato at that point. He was a Democrat, and so we took it upon ourselves to make that decision, and that's how that process worked. Similar situation with our clerk's office too. Paul Gorski, unfortunately that one for sure we weren't able to get that individual, and then most recently the county board member as well. So I just want to let folks know that was essentially the essence for pushing forward in a Democratic caucus, since we are the majority, was to essentially the goal was to elect someone out of that body to put forward a nomination, since we are the majority, 10 votes versus 4. So from that perspective, that was the hope, that was the intent. As the mayor alluded to, there's obvious, you know, support for some and others, and et cetera. So that was kind of where I was hoping that our caucus would move in that direction. But I just want to be clear that there was no point intention from my perspective to plot or any conspiracies that might arise from that from my perspective, right? This is the first time that I think it has occurred here, and knowing that we were with the anticipation, the majority of the party here, and we have an elected Democratic mayor, it's, from my perspective, that's where this was headed, and was hoping that we could come out with a nomination from that perspective. So just want to be clear on that, and as I alluded to, and yes, I 100% agree with the mayor. I think anyone can do this around the horseshoe, this job, especially having the right individuals, the tools to make the right educated decisions. There are some challenges that we already addressed from the budget that we're currently doing. So those things, obviously, there's just a lot going on with our labor negotiations, which are going to continue to work. That individual will need to work on those things. So I think we are all set. I think we're here as a team to make this work. I think we've had a great relationship with our mayor, you know, on certain things and moving the city forward. So I just want the citizens to understand, and from my perspective, that is the most important thing here. It's not about one of these aldermen here that is going to be the acting mayor, but more importantly, that disruption will not occur, transition will be there, and life will move on and will continue to move forward. So just wanted to make those comments, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Bell, then Hoffman, then Meeks.
Thanks, Mayor. Just typed up a question for Director Hammer. What happens if a court ends up finding that we weren't allowed to have an acting mayor? Do the items and ordinances that were approved by the acting mayor become immediately invalidated?
Director Hammer.
Thank you. So typically, no. There is a presumption of validity for ordinances and resolutions adopted by council. So if an acting mayor was signing in his or her role as acting mayor and was later found, that election was found to be invalid, it's likely that those ordinances and resolutions would still stand. There are a few exceptions, and I can do some research into that to notify you all of what those exceptions could be.
Thank you. And then potentially the last thing that I have written down, it was made clear on social media over the weekend about 2 weeks ago, and then now again after last Monday night's Democratic caucus meeting that I abstained. And for the first meeting, at least, Director Hammer was in attendance while she wasn't there to provide legal guidance for the Democratic caucus. She did outline and answered a few questions on the memo that she sent to council, and thereafter essentially stopped commenting on the Democratic caucus business, just for clarity. But it was made clear on social media that I abstained because that was allowed within Robert's Rules of Order, in which it then became my understanding that the caucus needs to adopt. And so we were following those by default. But I did, there were four individuals who abstained a few moments ago with the motion made by the 14th Ward Alderman. And so just have one more question for Director Hammer. Are we allowed to abstain in this mayoral, interim mayor election? And yes or no, not asking really.
Director Hammer.
Thank you. So there's an old case from the 1800s that I believe is still good law that indicates that elected officials are required to vote. If you could just bear with me one here. It's an 1885 Illinois Supreme Court case that indicates council members, I believe it was a Board of Trustee meeting that was at issue, cannot refuse to vote. However, Robert's Rules does recognize that a member cannot be compelled to vote. So I think the answer under our rules, under Rule 3, requires that every older person present shall vote unless excused by council or has a direct personal conflict in the matter. So it is likely a violation of Rule 3 for someone to abstain from a vote.
Thank you. Alderwoman Hoffman, then Alderwoman Meeks, then Alderman Bonney.
Thank you, Mayor. And moving right along, I would like to nominate Janessa Neal because she has the work history that she needs to be a good leader, and she has shown that she can be a uniter. And right now, from everything I'm hearing, what we need most is someone who can unite all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one nominee, and we will go to Alderwoman Meeks.
My question is, when the vote comes up, can we do it alphabetically?
So my understanding, and please correct me, my understanding with the amendment that was made, let's say we have 3 names, all three of those will be before you at the same time.
Okay.
And you will say, you know, you support Alderwoman Meeks. You know, like you will just, you'll state their last name and that is who you then support. And I think what one of the things that Alderman Bonnie's intent was, and I hope it is accurate, is no one, I mean, no matter disagreements or whatnot, everyone has a lot of respect for each other. And I think the idea was not to say, well, I don't want McNamara, I want Meeks. I think this allows you to say that's who your preference is. Is that fair for your intent? I don't want to misstate it. Does that answer it?
It does. And,
Thank you.
Since we are nominating, then I will go ahead and nominate Alderwoman Gabrielle Torina. I feel that she also carries the experience, and I think when it comes to uniting people, I think that she also would be someone that would be capable of doing that in this 8-month interim. And so I would like to put her forward. And I base this on several comments and feedback from my residents throughout the community. When, you know, we're not gonna vote on who we want, but when the names that were presented were kind of back to back, that was the selection that came through on my end. So that's who I plan to nominate.
Thank you. Alderman Bonnie?
Thank you. So regarding the abstention issue, we have had this situation on council floor before. It was when former Alderman Rose was trying to advance the Palestinian, pro-Palestine resolution, and the 12th Ward Alderwoman wanted to abstain, and the former legal director, now Judge Meyer, cited what our current legal director cited, that could only happen if that alderman had a financial conflict, or if council would allow them to abstain and the vote was taken and we did not allow the 12th Ward Alderwoman to abstain. So by our own precedent, I think that if on this vote anyone is planning to abstain, are we gonna, I guess I'm asking the question, are we gonna interrupt the vote every time that occurs, or should we, can we agree now to allow abstentions, whoever may want one or not? So I guess I would make the motion that we do not allow anyone to abstain from this vote.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second on the floor. We have a number of hands up. I have Alderman Beach, then Toomberg, then Frost. Alderman Beach.
Your Honor, thank you. A couple things. There was remarks made tonight here that essentially, since you are a Democrat, should be replaced as a pro tem mayor with a Democrat. And I've been on this horseshoe a number of years, and we've never been in a situation where a mayor has either died or retired.
I have not died.
No.
I almost did.
But the point is,
yeah, right.
But the point is, tradition is, such as when Alderman McNeely passed away, when John Beck passed away, when we had others here, whatever party they were there, it was replaced then. But the original memo that came out from someone after your announcement was very clear to say there's to be no political distinction in the choosing of, and right, wrong, or indifferent. That's what it was said. And we've heard tonight that we feel that that's not what it ought to be. And I have to tell you, I've had several calls that said to me, we can't vote for you because you're not a Democrat. We were told that we can't do that. That's fine. I'm a big boy. I can take that, I want to put that on the record. Because that's not what the instructions were when it originally was brought up. And then when our esteemed lawyer from the Fourth Ward done a lot of digging and work, and our legal team brought in an expert, we see that there's some changes that need to be made that far outweigh that problem. And I did speak today to a state senator that told me they thought probably, as was reported tonight, that by November it could be changed and put away with this argument forever, today and in the future. So I don't know about the abstention. I was under the impression that we could abstain when we thought a law was in question. And that's my abstention. And I really want to thank you for letting me speak again on this issue, Your Honor. And I do wish you well as you travel to a new spot.
Thank you. I would say there was a lot there. I think it typically has been the practice that, you know, if a alderman leaves, that you pick someone from that party. My understanding is that's not written out in statute. That's just been a practice.
Yes.
And I think that's what you're probably hearing here about other positions, not mine. And if that senator who may have been or may not have been in legislature for 30 years, they've had all the time to make this crystal clear. We have Alderman Schoenberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Hammer, so is there actually a state statute that addresses our specific situation?
Director Hammer?
When you say specific situation, what are you?
Like it addressed the city of Chicago or cities of 5,000 or less. Is there a state statute that addresses our situation as being a city of 150,000 with 28 weeks or more before the next general election? The situation we're in right now, I mean, is there a statute that addresses our specific situation?
So it's the statute that's referenced in the memo, 65 ILCS 5/3.1-10-50. And then subsection F is vacancies in municipal offices with 4-year terms.
So the situation that we're in right now, when we say that the statute doesn't really address there's not a state statute that addresses our situation, you're saying that there is?
No, I'm saying the state statute was intended to address the specific situation, but a sentence was stricken out of that state statute prior to the 2008 amendment. And so we're relying on the implied provisions within other subsections as a basis for our position that there's authority to proceed with the election for an acting mayor.
So we're kind of relying on something else to use as a basis. So, I mean, I think my point before was, you know, it's unfortunate that this part of the law was missed, that what came out to us initially was taken as fact, as that it is set in concrete by state statute. Individuals within our council came forward, people in our community started offering their input. You know, I wish we could do a time warp and go back and have this all set in stone. So we wouldn't be in this situation right now. But I mean, we have laws and we are beholden to those laws. You know, I think it's clear that the way it is currently stated specifically doesn't address address our situation. We're relying, as you said, on something else than to base a decision for us to move forward. You know, I would see us going forward and working with our legislators, our local legislators, to fix the problem in veto session. You know, then we can come back when it's legal and it's in concrete that it's legal what we're doing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts to be argued. And then come back and elect a temporary mayor. I'll be happy to participate in the selection of that mayor. At this point in time, though, I just feel uneasy that what we're doing is not legal. So if I abstain, it's because it's clear, I believe, under state law that we do not have the authority to do what we're doing tonight. And I'm happy to come back in, if it's 60 days or 90 days after the veto session, and our state legislators have clearly worked this out and given us the green light to go ahead and elect our temporary mayor. I look forward to participating in that, in fact. So, thank you.
Thank you. Just remind folks, tilt your microphone down just so those at home can make sure that they're hearing us. Alderman Frost, you had your hand up.
I agree with the outcome that Alderman of the Third Ward just made, but I want to ask the legal director, one, did you indicate that in 2008, the Public Act that amended Section 50, prior to that, it actually had in there the ability to elect an acting mayor?
Director Hammer?
Yeah, that was my understanding, that it was the 2008 amendment that was overzealous in its language that was stricken, that struck that sentence from the provision leading to subsection F1.
So this is not in the Anslick Link memo, and this is of great importance because it shows that the legislature clearly had a specific intent if the language was there prior to 2008 and they took it out, which just bolsters what I'm saying all along. I mean, they specifically took it out, and since 2008 to the last amendment, 2025, they didn't fix it. So, I mean, that's another reason why I truly believe, as Alderman Turek indicated, that it's illegal. And with respect to the motion in front of us on Alderman Bonnie's motion to make, so here's the deal, I don't care, right? I'm standing on Robert's rules. You can't compel me to vote, right? And secondly, under our current rules, I do have a direct interest in this matter. I've been contacted as a lawyer, and there may be a standing issue about me proceeding forward with a case. So that, I'm just like, there has to be a plaintiff that has standing, which has to be a resident of Rockford, to pursue that case. Whether or not it's my law firm, another law firm, a law firm from Chicago, I don't know. But I do have a direct interest in that matter. So either under Rule 3 or under Rule 45:3 on the Roberts rules, which indicates that I can abstain and I cannot be compelled to vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Bell?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. A few things. In 2008, I think a lot of decisions were made, and maybe coming back to get us, if you know what I'm saying. Annexation, anyways. Have we talked to the General Counsel for the Ethics and Elections Commission in the House or Senate in the General Assembly? Have we consulted with them at all?
Director Hammer?
No, I have not.
I guess why I bring that up is maybe to get their General Counsel's analysis of the intent of that piece of legislation. Is that something that we'd be interested in doing, given the climate of this conversation? And we still do have time as I think that the date is August 28th, maybe, that we have a deadline to make a decision. 30th?
I'm certainly willing to do that if that's the consensus of council.
I think, I guess for me, why I bring that up is if we, and just working down in, previously with Representative West, he's the chair of the Ethics and Elections Committee in the House of Representatives. And I think, you know, their general counsel could certainly have conversations with our team here, but also maybe it would prompt a bigger conversation for some legislative action in veto, with maybe in partnership with IML. But I just wanted to put that out there to see if that was a possibility.
Yeah.
Then I'd also say we're having discussion on the motion to, I forget it.
So there's a motion.
There's a motion on the floor.
A couple of things. Did you have further comment?
What's the motion? A lot of discussion going on.
So the motion before us, there was a motion, there was a second, to not allow individuals from the council to abstain on the acting mayor vote. That is what is immediately before us. Did you have further comment, Alderman Bell?
Yeah, but I'll reserve that for later. You can go, move on, it's fine.
Okay. Alderman Bonnie?
Thank you. So, again, I don't disagree that you know, we're treading in some precarious ground here potentially, but if we want to seek another legal opinion, or we want to seek opinion of various authorities in Springfield, or we want, you know, why is no one making a motion to lay this over and to direct our legal director or whoever to do some of those things, as that relates to abstaining, I guess I would go back to the legal director on, so we have a council rule that you've already recited. I assume that supersedes Robert's rules. I remember making the suggestion when this issue came up before, again with former Alderman Rose's Palestine resolution, that if you can abstain and the council doesn't approve it and you don't want to vote, you can simply walk out and not be present. There's nothing that prevents, I guess I'm asking the legal director, rather than abstain against our rules. And I do respect that potentially the Fourth Ward Alderman actually does have a conflict. But everybody else, rather than have individual vote, again, the purpose of my motion is, rather than stop the vote and have individual votes on whether or not we're going to allow people to abstain, that we collectively say we're not going to allow people to abstain, and then if someone doesn't want to vote, they can leave the meeting and not be present, correct?
Director Hamer.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's one option. Under Robert's rules, I don't believe we can compel someone to vote, but if it would be a violation under our rules, under Rule 3, if you are either not excused by counsel or do not have a direct personal interest in the matter, to abstain. So it's possible that they would face some sort of sanction or repercussion for a violation of our rules, but
But which supersedes which? Our rules or Robert's rules? It's our rules, right?
Yes, so our rules control if there's a contradiction between Robert's rules and our rules. But our rules indicate that they're required to vote, but so failing to vote, strike that, abstaining unless excused by counsel or with a direct personal interest in a matter would be a violation of our rules. But I don't believe that we can compel someone to cast a vote.
Thank you. Alderwoman Meeks.
would like to call a question if possible, so we can move forward.
So, before us right now, we have two nominees. We have Alderwoman Neal, Alderwoman Trina. Are there?
I'm sorry, Mayor, that's not the motion.
Oh,
that's on
I'm
the
so
floor.
sorry. Dear Lord. It's been a long time. Before us, we have a motion, and we've received a second to not allow council members to abstain. My apologies. So, okay. Alderman Bonnie?
I would amend that just to not allow abstentions unless the alderman cites a specific personal conflict.
And is the second still good for that amended? Okay. Okay. Alderman Thunberg?
So we have Robert's rules of order, and then we have city council rules, is that correct?
Yes.
So I'm going to be asked to vote on something that may not be legal. Is that correct?
Director
Because I'm
Hammer?
questioning the legality of the vote due to state statute. And now I'm going to be asked by city to vote for something that might not be legal. Is that correct?
Director Hammer?
Thank you, Your Honor. So it's my position that you cannot be compelled to vote under
Because-
Robert's
okay.
rules. So, but you may face a violation of our Rule 3 if you fail to vote when you're present,
All right.
if you've not been excused by counsel or have a direct
Because
personal
my-
conflict.
Yes, my conflict would be voting for something that may not be legal. So I do have a conflict. Thank you.
Thank you. Other discussion on the motion, the second that we have before us of not allowing individuals to abstain. Alderman Bonnie?
So, I guess, I hate to belabor the point, but I guess the legal director, so what you're saying is our Rule 3 and Robert's rules, one does not supersede the other. They're coexisting in this case.
Director Hammer?
Thank you, Your Honor. So I believe that our Rule 3 requires that every person vote who is present unless they have a direct personal conflict or excused by counsel. So it would be a violation of our Rule 3 if someone abstains without being excused by counsel or having a direct personal conflict. But I don't believe we as a public body can compel someone to vote in a matter. So that's the distinction.
Which is maybe bigger than Robert's rules.
Correct.
Okay, maybe
Yes.
it's like the First Amendment.
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
I don't believe we can compel
Okay.
them to vote.
So we have a motion and a second before us. Is there other discussion? Alderman Bonnie?
In light of that, I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay. That was a fun discussion. So, right now, we have, that item has been withdrawn. And we have two names before us for nominations. Alderman Bell?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to hear from the General Counsel of the Ethics and Elections Committee in the GA on what their analysis of the intent was for that piece of legislation as it was amended 2008, 2015, or 2025, or in whatever years between that. I do hear Alderman Thunberg's and Frost's concern from a legal standpoint. If we do not have to make a decision on today, we should not. And so I'll make a motion to lay this item over.
So we have a motion to lay this item over. Is there a second? There's a motion to lay over the item. Is there a second? Fails for a second. We, before us, have two nominees. Is there any other nominees coming from council for the acting mayor position? Seeing no other nominees, the nominations are closed. There's two nominees. Alderwoman Neal and Alderwoman Torina. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Logeman.
Neal.
Toomberg.
Abstain.
Frost.
I abstain based on previous reasons.
Torina. Prunty. Neal. Hoffman. Granith. Beach. Salgado. Meeks. Bell.
Neal.
Bonnie.
Neal.
The vote is 4 for Torina, 6 for Neal, 3 abstain.
Thank you. Legal Director Hammer, my understanding is to become the acting mayor, you need a majority of those present with the abstentions. Can you walk me through what that means?
So the abstentions do not count. So it would be, so to be elected acting mayor with 13 members present and 3 abstentions, so it would be 10 would be present and voting. So the votes required would be 6 because it does not require an affirmative action. So the abstentions would not, the abstentions would go with the majority, the plurality vote, if that makes sense. I did not explain that very well.
Thank you. So thank you. Congratulations, Alderwoman Neal. If there's anything I can be doing to assist you in this transition, I certainly will do so. Want to say thank you to the council. Obviously, a very unique situation, which creates lots of challenges. For that, I am sorry. With that, is there a motion to adjourn? We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Have a wonderful night.
For the record, Rule 22 states that all matters not particularly discussed